Hey everybody, this is Drew,
And this is Blake.
and you're listening to the Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Controllers podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 121. Before we get to our episode, I'm just going to go ahead and shoot through our internet presence preamble thing. You can find us on all the social media platforms, just by searching the name of the podcast. There you can keep track of our comings and goings and stuff like that. But the most important thing is that you guys come to our Twitch streams, which we do with our podcast editor / cousin / friend, Brian. And that is twitch.tv / two smoking controllers. And that is where you can kind of really just gives you like a preview of our co-op endeavor episodes, pretty much, which are pretty cool. You know, we've had a couple people come and hanging out with us. We love it. Lastly, we have a Patreon, of course. Who doesn't nowadays? That's just really to help with the artwork and eventually pay our editor. And we have a store that we just updated with new artwork from our last guest episode, which we really love the art. Thank you, Milad Markovic, aka Devious.Pixel. He has outdone himself again. The lists to all of these things, store included, will be in the show notes. And with that being said, we, in our excitement to having Clyde back on for the last episode, we did not announce our game like we've been trying to do. So we're actually going to try and do something that we've done before in the past, and we're going to try to use it kind of as a
Palette cleanse?
It'll be a palette cleanse, like a tabula rasa, wiping of the slate. And so we're just going to... It's games that we've beaten and not beaten, but they didn't exactly feel that they deserve... For us, I don't know how to say it without being disrespectful to the game creators, but it's not.
It's just games we didn't want to dedicate full episodes to, but we kind of feel like we should talk. There's just so many. Like I was making a list of games, like the game. Like honestly, we always say we play a lot of games, and I was scrolling through my list of games. I was like, here's a list of games that I think that I've played, whether beaten or not beaten, that I don't think we'll ever dedicate a full episode to. And just scrolling down one page of games that I've played, there was 14 games that I was like, I just don't think I can do a full episode on these, or I don't want to, or I didn't play them long enough, but I feel like they're strange enough or just slightly interesting enough that we can give them a couple, 15, 20, 30 minutes or something like that a piece, which I think is at least worth talking about at least a little bit. Maybe we'll say something about a game that tickles somebody's fancy, and then they'll find a game that they'll go play, because you never know what you're gonna. We play so many games between Game Pass and buying and GameFly that we honestly never know sometimes what kind of games we're getting into, and we get surprised all the time. But there's a lot of times, well, surprised in a good way, I'll say. There's a lot of times where it's just another regular old game, or you're surprised in a bad way, or I don't know. And sometimes there's just games. There's a game on here. At least one game on here that we 1K'd all the way through, and I was just like, I don't. There's not enough in this that warrants a whole conversation. We've beat 2 out of 3 of these games actually that we've picked to talk about. We've beat two out of the 3. I just don't want to. It's like it's hard to say without disrespecting. It's just games we didn't want to give full episodes. There's no nice way of saying that, I guess. But maybe, and like the Blake surprised me last night with one of the games we'll talk about as a developer we've had on here recently, with one of their other games that we've talked in full about. So you just never know. So we don't really mean disrespect to the developer of these games, since I will probably be complaining about some of these games. But it is what it is, and we wanted to, like I said, we did this before in the past with GameFly episodes of games we got on GameFly that we didn't like. 2 of these, all 3 of these are Game Pass games. Never mind. I'll say maybe one of these was a GameFly game, but they're not. They're all 3 that were on Game Pass at some point or another. So with that said, how do you got anything else to kind of share your thoughts on we're doing. At the end of this, we do have a single game picked that we will be announcing at the end of the episode into a full episode next episode.
And in the future, I think we're going to plan on doing this after every guest, just to try to.
Yeah, or unless we ever get to that point again when we ever don't have. I think we always look at our list of games we want to talk about, and it also somehow stays ahead of us on episodes.
Yeah, thankfully.
So we're not really in a bind where we need to like back to back do episodes like this.
Yeah, but it helps because these games are worth talking about, and every game is someone's favorite, and if you don't agree with us, sling hate our way. It won't bother us none.
Yeah.
So I did these in accordance to how much I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
With their initial playthrough, I think I told you how the order I was going to do. I think you
it's fine.
Fairly mirrored it. So the first one is actually the one I spent the least amount of time with because I
played a little longer.
It just wasn't doing it for me. I don't know what about it was. But the first game we'll be diving into briefly is Atomic Heart. It originally came out on February 21st of 23. It is developed by Mundfish Games. They are a fairly new studio. Mm-hmm. This is the only game they've put out.
Yep.
But it's crazy how these things work. Mundfish started out as 4 people, and by the time the game came out, so it started in 2017. So 2017 to 2023, they went from 4 employees to 130. But they don't have a studio. They call themselves a worldwide company because
like all remote company.
Yeah, everyone works from home. They got 130 employees from 10 countries.
Wow, it's huge.
Yeah, it's very large, and it's just I'm trying to think. Mm-hmm. So they've managed to do really well when it comes to like the sales pitching and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's crazy that first game they can have enough passion and stuff and pull people, and the game looks good. It looks really good.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll talk about for a little bit how it wears its influences on its sleeve, pretty thoroughly.
Yeah, a brief description for those who don't know Atomic Heart, it is an FPS game, and it is an alternate history version of the Soviet Union during the 50s. And it was it's depicted as like a retro futuristic dystopian world. Yeah. And it follows a very quick collapse of the Soviet Union after a robot uprising happens on a floating city in the sky.
Well, part of it's floating. While you like in the opening cutscenes, you leave the floating city immediately.
But you start on a floating city in the sky.
So we'll talk about the intro and stuff like that. And just want to kind of just jump into it. We got a couple of games we're going to talk about, and we say we got a couple of games listed. Depending on how long the episode goes, and we talk about a game more than we think we're going to talk about it, we might just cut one off and save it for another episode. We're just kind of going to gab about this for a bit and then move on. So we've done something sort of like this before, but that little intro bit, like the intro for this game is wicked long. Yeah, I did it first. There's like a huge long sequence about how long this part is. It does like the thing. So this game is clearly inspired by BioShock Infinite. It's kind of or BioShock in general, and then more along the lines, the kind of intro sequence is very BioShock Infinite.
Very much so.
It's blatantly obvious. I call this like I would call this Russian BioShock, except for the game's not as good. It's not as fun to play, which is what we'll get into.
At the same time, it does appear to be a lot of first timers.
Yeah, but I mean, I ain't worried about that so much. You have the whole opening sequence of just walking around. Like, it does the whole everything's happy thing for a minute. Like, you get the however long it's happy before the robot uprising begins. You walk around a little town. Everybody, it's like a huge freaking park. I don't really know.
It's a festival because they're celebrating like the end of the war. It's like because it's the 1950s, and I think it's a celebration of the end of World War II. Is what it sounds like, because we're in 1952 or something. So it's been 7 years since the end or something.
I have no idea. I didn't catch all that. I didn't know why everybody was celebrating. But it's a big party.
Well, because they're doing a launch party for that brand new the collective head upgrade. And everyone who lives on the city gets it first, and then the following Tuesday they release it worldwide to the public. That's what it was. That collective, 2.0 or something
With a K. Mm-hmm. Some sort of memory unit that lets you do stuff better.
Well, essentially, it's like if you want, it's the Matrix.
Oh, you can download stuff to your. Oh, that's right. 'Cause it's advertising is downloading stuff to your head.
If you wanted to be, learn how to, or have all of Mozart's or Wagner's composers or whatever, because they're symphonies, and you can get them downloaded into your brain within minutes.
It's something that's talked about in the game and like never really applies to the game.
Maybe it's later because we didn't beat it.
Yeah, this is the one. This is the one of the 3 games we didn't beat. This intro sequence is so long. The first part is so long too. You start the game, but you're on one that's like automatic little rowing boat thing. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a lot of the cool technology stuff looks really cool. Like it has its own little style to it. The boats and the things that are flying and like all the different stuff. Everything about the technology stuff looks pretty unique to kind of like the normal looking androids, which is a lot of what you fight is these normal looking robots, and then you kind of fight these plants that take over people's bodies, to take over dead bodies, and those kind of just look like things from Last of Us, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, heads just
I didn't make it that far.
Or make it that far. All these plants come alive, and they grab onto people, like even dead bodies, and they like animate the bodies, and then whatever, you just shoot them and they die like anything else. They're basically zombies. So you don't just fight machines like other experiments have gone wrong. So there's cool stuff in there, I guess. But the sequence, like, is riding the boat and like stuff is just happening around you. Like we'll say, then me and Blake talked about it, and then I've read a bit about it online when I'd quit playing too. You almost immediately are introduced. Well, you are introduced to, but then you immediately find out your main character is really irritating.
Yeah.
The way he talks is really irritating, and it escalates quickly when things start going bad. Like it ain't the voice actor per se. I think it's the writing itself is just like. It's like one of those games where nobody else talks like this guy.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of game. Like we've played games like that before. Where like nobody else. Why does this guy talk this way? And why does he talk like And nobody else you meet talks like him.
Because as we said, it's the 1950s, Soviet Russia, flying city, and they're announcing like, look how amazing our technology is. All this stuff, and you play as the character Major Sergei Nekayev. Mm-hmm. It goes by the moniker P3. I don't really know where the P3 comes into play. Maybe that's later in the story, but that's on me for not having played it further. But my biggest problem with him, 2 things, and not necessarily with him, but with the writing of his character, I'll say that, is for me, I use profanity. I cuss all day long, every day. It doesn't bother me at all. But when the overusage of certain words just to make it like, look how edgy we are. Mm-hmm. Like, Game of Thrones suffered from it. They were just dropping F-bombs left and right.
Just for the sake of it.
Just for this. Look how cool we are. We can drop some F-bombs.
Yeah, we're on HBO.
And then so he just started dropping a bunch of F-bombs like when everything was...
Like regular conversations sometimes.
Yeah, and just regular conversation. Which I do too sometimes. I was like,
if it's excessive to Blake and some talking, then it's definitely excessive. We'll say that much.
Yes. It just seems like... Okay, what was the point of that? Like this, and supposedly this character, like I said, he is a major. He has been with this facility for a long time. He's got military.
He seems like he's some sort of specialist, though, like the kind of guy they call in to take care of something that nobody else is going to take care of.
They may allow some leeway and stuff like that because he is like, oh, go report for this experiment and stuff like that. So he's like a first run at these particular experiments.
Yeah.
But my biggest thing is the way he spoke and the way he interacted with people, and he was just so sarcastic and nonchalant.
And not even that, he doesn't really talk to other people all that much in the beginning. Mm-hmm. He has like the new version. There's this thing in it. What's this thing?
Charles.
Well, it's
Charles.
Like Charles, whatever it is. He keeps calling him Charles, but he's constantly arguing
and berating him,
and berating this really like AI that has information that he needs. Like it's how you. It's how you get your other power, like you get quote unquote powers. I guess their technology is not really powers. Like it can pick stuff up. I want to talk about the loot gathering, which is pretty cool. Somebody's going to steal that loot gathering.
I loved it. I did love that.
But anyway, that thing comes out of his hands, little tentacle looking things. It looks cool. It comes out of his hand.
It's like fiber optic with little lights on the
end. But it talks, and like I guess in his head. I don't know if it talks out or in his head. But he argued with it and like berates it constantly. And I was like, well, this thing, all it does is help you.
Yeah.
And like had more than most of the dialogue, because once you get to the main part of the, well, I guess the first part of the game, because there's a bigger part that we didn't even get to, but it's mostly all you ever talk to is this thing in his hand, and then there's this freaking vending machine thing that's irritating as hell too. That's where you like, oh, this guy's like everything your main character says is irritating, and that rubs you the wrong way as soon as I feel like as soon as the game starts, this guy rubs you the wrong way, and you got to listen to a whole game. Like, I don't know how long this game is, a whole game of this guy, and he already irritates you in like the opening scenes.
It irritated me, yeah.
And and you didn't hear everything. Like he goes on and on and on and on. So,
like I said, my complaint was, like I said, having said everything and the fact that it's supposed to be 1950s Soviet Russia, he sounded like a modern American.
Yeah, I think you maybe because I say it's of developers across a bunch of countries, but this seems like this is what Americans sound like
to them. Maybe
spoof, I guess. I don't know, but
I was just like, he's just annoying. Yeah. I didn't care for him, but
you get all the running around. So we gotta get to some of the gameplay.
Yeah.
All the running around, and you meet some other people and do some other things. But I think it was weird. You get to the you do go all the way up this elevator, this one part, the elevator sequence, and you go all the way up this elevator just for this person to hand you a key. Ride the elevator all the way back down.
And it's a long elevator.
It's a long elevator. I don't know if it's a loading screen or what, but it's like you go all the way up to like the top floor, to like the penthouse.
20 or 40 floors.
Like, here's your key, and you write, like, seriously? And you ride it all the way back down to go get in this car. And I like this, like the 1950s car, and he gets into the car. I'm like, we're gonna have a little driving thing, maybe. Apparently, you do drive in the game eventually. Like after the little whatever building we're in, when you were playing, and I played for a while, I was pretty close to getting to those like open world sections, which I'm so glad I didn't do, from what I read. But instead of the car driving off, a robot comes over and just like drops on his cables down and like just picks the car up, and it starts flying away with you in the car, which the dude's really comfortable with. So I guess it happens all the time.
Yeah, it's a form of flying
this
cars.
Sequence is another sequence here that is so long.
Yes.
20 minutes or longer. Like I didn't time it. Like you're just watching for like 20, 25 minutes. Like I don't know how long. Is it 20 minutes?
I don't think it can't be
15, 20 minutes.
It's a minute.
It feels like forever.
Because you're flying for a long time, listening to some music, and it's just like showing you the sky, and then
it's a cool view. This is where you find out. Like if you didn't know, I didn't know nothing about the game. So when you fly up, you kind of fly up way high, and you find out that you're actually on one of the floating little city platforms, and there's a bunch of little floating cities all around you. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I mean, it's Bioshock Infinite did this, 15 years ago, but that's
on a
okay.
smaller scale. But
I wouldn't even say it's a smaller scale. I mean, Columbia was a huge freaking city.
Yeah.
But it's clearly that. They're like, it's just clearly, okay, y'all played Bioshock Infinite. I get that. That's cool. And then you eventually get shot down, of course, because the robot uprising kicks off while you're in the air because you don't want.
Well, I think it's in the process of doing it. Like there's subtle hints in the intro with some of the robots that are malfunctioning. One's like stuck in a tree and trying to get a balloon. And if you're listening and looking around,
I looked around a little bit. I think you looked around a little more than I did. But yeah,
there's subtle hints that something's about to go awry. Of course, because of the game, it isn't any history you know about the game. But yeah, it happens exactly right here. And this dude falls. I get he's the main character and stuff like that. And I guess he's a 90s hero. But the rate at which he falls, the height from which he falls, the stuff that falls on him, like there's a whole, at one point, there was like you're in a building, some crazy driller robot comes through, makes you fall down, and then the entire floor you were on in this hospital, like, falls on top of you. And then you just get up and walk away.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
how do you think about that kind of stuff? I was just like, I wasn't expecting realism out of this.
I mean, I'm not expecting realism, and maybe he's got some things, but like just the situations. I don't know. I may be specifically digging into it just because I wasn't digging it.
Yeah.
It's, essentially.
You do that sometimes. Nitpick when you're not.
Nitpick
when you're not liking something. So we get to like the. Eventually, you end up in the first. I guess I didn't know it wasn't going to be the entire. I mean, I have no way of knowing without knowing the game that it wasn't going to be the entire sequence. But you ended up in one of these underground facilities. This is where you get kind of like you would get more of like maybe the Bioshock 1 kind of feel to it, except you're not really underwater and it's not that interesting. and you get your first bit of weapons, which your first thing you get is the axe, and you're kind of axing these little rogue androids, and all they do is kind of run at you and yell and kind of try to punch you and stuff like that. You just axe them.
Throwing haymakers.
Yeah, the axing's really not that fun. That's what it did for me. A lot of what got me eventually was that the gunplay wasn't that fun. I mean, I had quite a few guns. When I'd quit, I've had 2 or 3 different guns. And a lot, you can do a lot of crafting stuff. There's like a bunch of melee weapons, which I never got enough resources to do the other melee weapons. But I was just like, I don't know. I don't know why I need anything. I don't know why I need multiple melee weapons when the axe would kind of cover it.
And you can upgrade the axe too, like give it different.
You can upgrade everything. Yeah. So you're kind of running this facility, and your super helpful little robot guy, Charles, is telling you, where to go and what to do and different things like that. And you're just trying to survive, basically, is what this is.
And figure out what's going on.
Figure out what's going on. There's a couple of neat things in it. There's apparently people who have this little handy dandy upgrade that he has. I guess I don't know because he talks about if it'll happen to him too. But if those machines like Charles hold like your memories or something like that within them, so or they explain in the game or a version of yourself or some sort of stuff, but it runs out of power eventually and dies. But some people who have the upgrade have. It's sort of one of the collectibles are the talking dead kind of, are bodies that can't move because the body is dead, but the AI component thing has enough of them left alive in the AI to talk to you for a couple of minutes. So you find these bodies that have the little tentacles coming out of them, and you can go use yours to talk to you talk to the
dead like Avatar style. You just kind of link up and
he just kind of talks to them. But you talk to dead people for a couple of times. It's sort of a collectible, but you don't learn as much from these conversations. You kind of tell like where they were and what happened to them, and they remember how they died.
Oh, that's crazy.
Which is kind of not cool, and they know they're dead, which is even weirder.
Oh yeah.
So those probably one of the more interesting little sections. Well, not really a section; they're freaking everywhere. All these little bodies are everywhere. You didn't really learn enough from them. I thought hopefully they would be like, you remember those robots in Miasma Chronicles? I think we forgot to talk about those robots in Miasma. The little robots that that Elvis would like jerk back alive, whatever. Because he was a mechanic, and they would talk to you, give you a little history about the area and stuff like that. Those are more interesting than this. These people don't really tell you anything. It was cool because they knew how they remembered dying, which was kind of nuts.
See, you played a lot further than I did. All I got was I got the axe and I got the shotgun, and I was axing people, and I think I made it to like 2 save rooms. Because it did do safe rooms.
Yeah, safe room.
We had like you
always had a box of
loot,
loot
canisters or whatever they were called.
Yeah. Save point, which the game auto saves all the time. So you know, like a save point, and then
that's where you got to meet the other annoying robot, Nora, which is where you do.
Charles wasn't really annoying.
Yeah, well, yeah. I say the other, where you get to meet the annoying robot with
Nora's like the AI that runs the vending machine, and I guess she's also murdering people. If you didn't realize, like she kind of talks about it. She got little tentacles running throughout the building too herself, and she's just murdering people is like also. And she enjoys it, of course. She's something that I might have found funny when I was younger, maybe. Maybe she's also funny with one line of dialogue, but when she has like 50 and they beat it into the ground, it's funny for like 1 or 2 lines, and then you're like, and then she keeps talking and 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 talking. She doesn't stop talking, and she's innuendo. Put your stuff inside me and I will give you something you want and blah blah blah. She's every sentence of hers is innuendo. Like I said, funny at one line, and you're like, okay, cool. Like, and I get y'all wrote a bunch of these lines, but like spread it out or do something. The first conversation with her, oh my god, is so long.
It's like 5 minutes, and every other sentence, every sentence she says is some sort of innuendo, and then when she gets it all out of her system.
Your main character's mad about it, of course, and he's like, "Ugh, gross! Ugh, I'm American." Ugh.
And then she doesn't talk anymore. Like it's just like they didn't.
There's other parts where she talks, if she got something.
At least for me, right there, like she said, like 5 minutes of dialogue, and then didn't say another line to me for the next 2 times that I showed up to her. Mm-hmm. And so I'm guessing like they just like, here's all of her dialogue. They didn't have it like on like a random repeating thing or something.
It should have been like a. Because she wasn't saying anything. Like when you're talking to, like, she wasn't like, she kind of give you a bit of a tutorial. Because what she is, she's the upgrades and crafting for your weapons and other items, and she's the upgrade. You can upgrade what Charles can do, and Charles can do various things. The tutorial gives you the shock ability. Which did you get the shock ability?
I did.
I think you got that far.
Yeah.
Which is basically just the shocking thing from you shoot like BioShock. It's exactly like BioShock, except the controls are a disaster in this game. So it's like you hit Y to do it instead of like left trigger.
Yeah, so like left bumper or left trigger.
Yeah, so you get Y to shock things. It works exactly like. Other than that, it does. I think it stuns, but it doesn't stun them instantly. Like they can keep moving for like a second and then they stop moving. So it's not as powerful and doesn't have that much stopping power, but it does work. You can't shock. As far as like that, you can't shock water. They didn't think that far ahead of it. You can't shock water to stop things.
Well, the other thing I was reading about it after the fact is it was designed to be more in tandem. Like you can't just rely on your special powers, or you can't just rely on your gun. They want you to shock people, and then you would have upgrades to your weapon that lets you deal extra damage to shocked enemies or paralyzed enemies.
It's all in the menus. Yeah,
and they wanted a better blend of back and forth as opposed to just walking up to people and shotgun blast. Why not? You're just blasting with the electricity and not ever using your weapons. They had it weaker on purpose so that you would use your weapons and stuff and make combat more intricate.
Yeah, I get that.
But the web I had the shotgun.
I had with the shotgun, and then there was actually I say one other gun, and I had a blueprint. And now I think I had a blueprint for an assault rifle that I never got enough stuff to make. You'd have materials. So say you have to have materials all over the place. Every body you drop, every room you walk into has loot, basically like a BioShock game or any other game that has loot these days. But this does have a cool gathering mechanic because I guess it's weird. Your hand Charles thing has telekinesis, I guess, or some sort of magnetism. So you can already pick up random objects in the thing.
Because that's how you get your axe. You hold your hand out, and then the fire axe
can fly into your hand.
Thor's Captain America's shield right to your hand.
Except you can't do that ever again with the axe, which is whatever. It's just
I would love to have been able to chuck my axe and have it come back. That'd have been really cool. Yeah. Just like like a God of War thing. But if you put it in the game, it should be a part of the game. Don't just let it be something cool where you hold your hand out and you. Yeah, I would love to have been able to chuck my axe.
You could pick up chairs and other random things. Supposedly you could throw items. I couldn't figure out how to throw items because if I tried to, I'll pick something up, hit all the other buttons, and I would just end up dropping it. I tried to pick it up and then shoot with it, and it would just shoot my gun. So I couldn't figure out how to throw objects. I couldn't figure it out at all. But the main thing it really does is when you hold the button down and you're in an area of loot, it magnetizes all the loot to you.
Yes.
It actually looks kind of cool, and you're ripping all the stuff out of drawers and all the cabinets and stuff like that, and you're just kind of
it opens up all the drawers, it opens up all the cabinets and the chests and stuff like that, and it makes a really satisfying noise, and then you be able to just move your hand up and down these what do you call it? Like P.O. boxes or safety deposit boxes, and all the drawers come out and then open up, and you get all the
stuff's just flying.
That was my favorite part. It looked really cool.
It looked cool. Felt good. Somebody's going to steal this idea.
Yeah.
In another game that has loot. There's no way this isn't stolen.
Yeah. That was like I said. That was my favorite part of the. Honestly, I only played for 2 hours, but that was my favorite part of the 2 hours that I played.
So there's that. So that ends up in all your little. You have a bunch of a list of ingredients. That's how you find blueprints and you craft stuff. I didn't ever craft any. I crafted ammo eventually because I'm running so low. I had to constantly be crafting shotgun ammo because I wasn't finding enough of it. The shotgun itself is not a. People talk about the games that have the best shotguns. It's like Halo has a real good shotgun, and then some of the Dooms have really good shotguns. This is not a fun shotgun. Maybe it's between actually. It's like a sound, a feel, and its impact on enemies and stuff like that. None of it really adds up to anything satisfying. I don't know what makes a good shotgun, but this isn't a good shotgun. It's just not a fun, especially to be the first weapon that the game hands to you besides the axe. Because I got a pistol. I got a pistol second. I did get a pistol, so I give a pistol second, which is just a pistol. Again, some games have great pistols, not here. And then I had a gun that shoots. It ran off a battery and shooted shot it. Like electricity bolts, I guess, which I didn't. Which
like plasma rounds or something, or
it's like it has little lightning bolts. So it was electricity. So which for some reason did not stun robots and stop them from running at me. But I was able to use it to I don't know. I think it's your other thing, backup thing to use if you ain't got enough ammo, because it recharges. The little batteries recharge it at a certain rate, and it's upgrades of it use less, do more damage, and use less power. But
It does say.
also, it's like poof, poof, poof. It's like it's not a very satisfying gun either.
So I did read that the ammo scarcity was on purpose, though. It was to make you force you to use all of your weapons, and the melee weapon. It was to make combat more intricate, so that you're swapping and using everything at your disposal, as opposed to like, oh, this shotgun's really good, I'm just gonna blast everything in the face with a shotgun. Not worry about it. They wanted you to use every weapon and every power and make more.
Well, they should not make an inventory system that can't hold all this stuff. Then
I know that, yeah.
So you have an inventory system that's like any other, like it's like a dungeon crawler. It's like the squares, or like some of the Resident Evils, not big enough to like hold all your, like the shotgun. The axe immediately takes up like 3 sections, which is huge. Your shotgun takes up that much space. Then ammo does. Your healing items.
Yeah, why even bother having a inventory?
If you're just as a shooter, for one, don't do this to this game. So if you want to use all these weapons, make it where you can hot swap to all the weapons. Don't
hold Y or hold right bumper, and
anything's better than the inventory system that you had, which kind of I was depositing guns and all that kind of stuff, depositing healing items and crap like that, because I couldn't hold it all. Like I had to, constantly doing that. Thankfully, you could, like from your actual menu, you could just send things to Nora. It's weird you could send things to Nora, but you couldn't. You had to be at Nora to pull things back out.
It does seem strange.
Yeah.
The game is, like I said, I only played for the 2 hours. I don't really have too much more to talk about, other than that there was one cool thing that happened where the polymer, which is like this,
cool.
It's their building block almost. A lot of the stuff is made out of polymer, including your glove is called the polymer glove. And that's what they whatever that's made out of runs through the glove and allows it to interact and do that stuff. But it's like a living liquid, because you could jump into, because it was like a polymer, it was molded into a form, but it was also semi-liquid. So you could use it. I jumped into the polymer. I was able to swim up the polymer and then hop out at the top, and it was like a really kind of cool.
There's lots of polymer stuff. Yeah, you see it at the beginning. It looks kind of cool. It does look cool. It's like a frozen in time kind of liquid. Mm-hmm. But you don't drown in it. Apparently, I guess you can breathe in polymer.
I think it's oxygenated.
Yeah, but it's that's part of one of the cooler looking things in the game that I saw was polymer, and that it's cool looking, and then it's everywhere eventually, and then you're kind of jumping in and out of polymer. It does look cool. You swim in it. Yeah.
I only swim. I don't know what else you can do with it.
You just swim through it. It gets you to it gets you to higher places, and you can kind of move through it. So far, I didn't have any dangerous parts. Like it seemed like it was always just like a good thing to have polymer on. You can also jump into polymer, and enemies can't. They just like stand outside it and try to like punch the polymer. Apparently,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, they can't. They don't jump in and try to get you, which I thought was interesting, because you can't do any shooting or anything. You're saying like a swimming animation. I eventually got to the thing where I did a couple sequences and a couple different things. Fought I didn't fight. I blew up a giant tree monster, which is part of the plant sequence where these plants are going out of control. There's this big monstrous plant, which you think would be a boss fight. Instead of a boss fight, it was a really long sequence of running this explosive canister on rails through a puzzle, a bunch of rooms of moving it through a thing on turntables and getting this canister to this thing just to blow it up.
Was it a QTE or was it like an actual
No, it's like puzzle? Jumping across a room, like running, jumping, and then platforms, and then hit the forward button to move it onto another turntable, then turn the turntable to have it move again, for like a really long sequence of something that wasn't fun. But I did all that, and it to a sequence of blowing the plant thing up, which was whatever. The big plant thing looked cool. I don't remember where I had stopped playing. It was one of those things where we talk about, you turn a game off and you haven't thought about it in a day or two, and you kind of don't really want to turn it back on, or something else comes along, you kind of want to play something else.
Yeah.
I did play for a while. I played for a couple of sittings, but I kind of feel like I'm glad that I stopped when I did, because when I stopped, and when games like this are leaving Game Pass, you start seeing a lot of posts about them on Reddit and stuff like that. People were talking about the open world sections and with infinitely spawning enemies. And I was like, well, I was already not enjoying combat. I don't like when games open up. That's why I quit Metro 3. Mm-hmm. I don't like, like, what do you call it? claustrophobic games, I guess. I don't know. Metro is more claustrophobic, but interior games that just open up. It's not really a common thing that happens. Like Metro 3 kind of ruined Metro 3 for me. And then this was going to, apparently this was, I was like nearing the section where this is going to open up. It's going to go outside.
Driving and stuff.
And like, big enough that you drive. Because I didn't look at the achievement stuff afterwards. So there's like running over 100 enemies and crap. Like there's like all these different achievements. And then, but I was reading online about the going outside and getting lost, and like enemies just never stopped spawning. And I was just like, I'm so glad I didn't get, because I would have been pissed off if I got to that. I wasn't enjoying the game enough to warrant getting that far anyway. And I don't know how long the game was. We didn't like it. I don't mean other people didn't like it. I think the game's been pretty well received.
I think it's doing well. They did put out 2 DLCs for it.
Yeah, 2 of 4, because on the main menu, it has like DLC 1, DLC 2 are named, and there's like DLC 3 and DLC 4 that don't have names.
Oh, so they're ambitious. Because it's called, the first one's called Annihilation Instinct, and the second one's called Trapped in Limbo. And they, I did read, hold on, let me find it again, that they had announced that they already have plans for a sequel, and then because what I said it came out in early 23.
It launched on Game Pass.
Yeah, in late 23, they announced that they have started development for its sequel, so it's doing well enough.
Yeah, I won't bother.
And when you look at the rewards, I didn't see anyone that was like, "This is the greatest game of all time," but a lot of them were slightly above average. Like 6s and 7s and 75s, and I think the highest thing I saw were like a bunch of 75s and stuff like that. So it's on the mid upper. It's genuinely for the most part well received.
Yeah.
They say it's the imaginative, it's deeply ambitious, though it's very tedious, which it's with its fetch quests, and the writing needs some touching up. A lot of people have the same complaints, but people just don't want to be too negative nowadays, which I get. I don't want to like crush people's dreams that are working on something.
Yeah. I've played much worse games.
Oh, me too.
I just when I get bored,
games.
We have too many games and I get bored. I mean, I need to. We used to beat boring or games we didn't like for achievements, and we don't do that no more.
Oh yeah, no. People talk about it. Of course, obviously took its primary influence from BioShock, but then it wasn't as polished as BioShock. People criticized the combat and the gunplay and everything, but a lot of people say they enjoyed the world. Yeah,
well, the world looks cool. The game looks awesome. I mean, I don't know what more stuff you end up fighting. I'm sure you end up, because there's a lot of little robots on display in the opening sequence. I bet you fight all of those because they're all going to turn on you. Yeah. What I ended up fighting was a bunch of just little androids running at me
with the mustache on them. Those ones in the white.
Yeah, and then I fought the little plant zombies.
Yeah, I think they should have scaled back. I think it was too big for their.
Well, no, they made the whole game.
Yeah, they made the whole games, and it came out, and they do it enough to make a sequel. So maybe they did good. Maybe because it is a bunch of first timers too. I think, as far as I could tell. So maybe they'll be like, I'll try the second one. Maybe.
No, I probably won't.
We'll see if it's on Game Pass.
I'd play another game by them probably.
Maybe not another Atomic Heart.
Yeah, not another Atomic Heart. I kind of get, unless it's like. Somehow it's like they nailed it this time or something. You get those kind of reviews or something like that. I don't know. But if also it's a sequel, I hate to play a sequel to not finish the original. But I just don't. It just wasn't. I don't know. I just wasn't having a good enough time with it. The gunplay is kind of loose and unsatisfying. Well,
the other thing too is like talking about like how ambitious they held. 278 auditions to pick the 7 cast members that they needed for the game. It says that they knew their main character, who was going to play Major Nechev, they knew him right away. They fell in love with the guy who came in, and they loved him, and they picked him almost immediately. But then they used a special suit, these things called X-Sense suits and Dynamixix helmets, which they had to learn how to do, because it was brand new technology that none other team had ever worked with or even heard of. But it allowed them to do mocap and facial mocap and 3D scan, which allowed them to capture a high quality 56 separate emotions, which they were able to incorporate into their human faces.
It's cool. I didn't really see any other people though.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is I interacted with one other person in a hospital, and everyone in the room died but her.
Yeah.
And somehow she escaped, and I didn't even see her escape. But then Charles was like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, she escaped through the air ducts." And I was like, "When?" I didn't see her. I saw this thing shoot a laser that was cutting people in half, and then she managed to escape. But they were using some incredible technology, and so kudos to them, and I wish them luck. And I may not play another Atomic Heart, but like you said, I will play whatever they do next, and just to see what it is.
See what they've learned. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then we move on to another game because this next game the next game we actually got, we both beat. I almost didn't beat. What's a sequence I'll talk about. Almost didn't beat, but we did end up both getting the 1K for it. Mm-hmm. We've played the other games in this franchise. I don't know if they've been on the podcast.
No. But before we leave, I am doing a little bit better about this. Atomic Heart was on the Unreal 4 engine.
Not the 5, huh?
It's on the Unreal 4 engine. They probably couldn't afford the 5 maybe. Or
I thought they just I don't know how the Unreal, Epic does
they
it.
probably,
if they get to 5, do they stop supporting 4? I don't really know, but
I don't know. But since they started the game in like the 2021 or something like that when they actually started the game, so they had an older unit. But
yeah. Because now games will be on 5. I guess that makes more sense. Yeah.
But so is that where we're gonna move on from Atomic Heart?
That's fine. I don't have anything else to really say about it. I mean, a lot of folks liked it. I mean, there's a lot of, like when we said all the posts stuff about it, people recommending it and stuff like that. But when I was reading through like Reddit and stuff like that, it's kind of like a mixed bag of nobody loved it. Well, from what I was reading, it was just a skimming a dozen Reddit posts talking about Atomic Heart. I mean, what do I know? My data gathering isn't top notch, but it was just like there was like a bunch of like either kind of liked it or put it down immediately, and we're kind of like in that little middle ground. We didn't play all the way through it. I'm kind of glad I didn't put more time into it.
Mm-hmm. So the next game, I don't think we've spoken about the other, because it's the third in a series. Yeah. I don't think we've spoken about the other ones, but we have spoken about one of the other games that the company did create.
Yeah.
So we're speaking about Shadow Warrior 3. Now, Shadow Warrior 3 was originally released for PS4 and Xbox One of March 1st of 22, and then February 16th of 23, it was released on Next Gen. And you and I played the definitive version, the Next Gen version is what we played. Mm-hmm. It too is also on the Unreal 4 engine. Yeah. Just go ahead and blurt that out now before I forget. And the game that we spoke about previously, because this is developed by Flying Wild Hog, and it was episode 112, we did Trek to Yomi.
Yeah, which is crazy. I think it's the same developer.
Yeah.
Incredibly different games.
And they are, just briefly, just to recap, they're Polish. They're a Polish company based out of Warsaw, but they have 2 other studios in Krakow and Rezo. They've been around since 2009. They have 330 employees, and they've made 10 games.
We play anything else besides the show? Because we've played all 3. These are the modern Shadow Warriors. I think Shadow Warrior is a franchise that existed
before,
back in the day. We've played the 3. We'll talk about them briefly, but we played the other 2 Shadow Warrior games as well. Mm-hmm.
No, they have like something called Juju, which is like a platformer from like the PS3 360 days. A game called Hard Reset, which is like a cyberpunk third-person shooter. And then a couple years later, after they had some other success, they remade a Hard Reset, Redux, in the way they wanted it, with better graphics and better controls and stuff like that. And then, of course, Shadow Warriors 1, 2, and 3, and Trek to Yomi. And then the big thing right now that I think is also on Game Pass is the Evil West. It's gotten some pretty...
Oh, that's them?
That's Evil West is them, yeah.
Okay.
That's their current thing, is what I think it's their most recent.
Also vastly different.
Mm-hmm. So they're just kind of like putting out stuff. Well, I told you the cool thing, I don't want to revisit everything, but the cool thing about them is that they acquired financial security by buying
that's them.
By buying like what do you call it? Like investment firm. So they just got like, bring us money so we can funnel it through the company and just make stuff we want to do.
Yeah.
So that's probably how they have the 330 employees, includes the investment company.
Yeah. Before we did the Shadow Warrior 3, I remember really enjoying the first one a long time. Was that pre-podcast?
It was like 2012 2012 or 2013 is when it came out. So probably it's old. Or
is that old? Yeah, I just remember because it's pretty cool. They're all three first person shooters, but it's more like a story first person shooter. Has a sort of annoying / endearing main character, Lo Wang.
Yeah, just so we kind of know the history. The original Shadow Warrior came out in '97, and it had 2 expansions: Twin Dragon and Wanton Destruction in '98 and '05. And then this Shadow Warrior didn't come out till 2013, then 2016, and then 2022.
Big
gaps in between them. Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to so that we could talk about it and how.
Yeah, I will say that of the 3, the first one's I think clearly the best one.
Yeah, I like the first one a lot more.
It seemed more put together and thought out.
Well, there's also a lot more because the whole thing it's so hyper fast. There's so much stuff going on screen.
I think this one's faster.
I think so too. I think
the third one's a lot faster. We'll say it's strange. The first one's a single player, kind of a story, first person shooter, kind of sci-fi fantasy. The second one, which was a weird one that I actually had co-op. So me and Blake had played that one together. We might have, if we played it more recently, we probably would have streamed it or whatever. That one's kind of forgettable because it I don't know. I don't remember a whole lot about it, honestly.
Well, it says right here, just I have a little brief description of all of them. Is the thing from 1, besides the weapon, it talks about it has like a very large emphasis on the story, and the whole point is you're trying to locate this legendary blade that helps you banish demons, and like the sword play was, because I remember you could slice off individual body parts and stuff like that, and it looked really cool. And depending on it's like hold the attack button and then hit left, up, or right, and you would do
an
elemental.
Still kind of do that in the third game, but it's not as dedicated.
Not as prominent.
It's not as dedicated to it anymore.
But
the games get looser and looser.
Yeah, it says right here in the 2 it featured a cooperative multiplayer mode, as well as procedurally generated large and open areas that was similar to most looter shooters in the day. And it too was a looter shooter, is what they called it, because you could acquire a whole bunch of stuff to do
looter shooter, aka forgettable.
Yeah,
which most looter shooters are forgettable.
Which allowed you to have all the upgrades to your swords and stuff, and then we'll talk about the third one as we get into it.
Yeah. Again, I don't know. Apparently, it's been like a decade, but I mean, I remember really like that. I think if they stuck with the format of the first one, you would have had a better trilogy, for sure. Instead of games that are just kind of like meh. This third game is really just there's talking in it, but it's just like there's nothing to really be said. You have one goal for the whole game. Yeah, and the game is like this. And this game's hyper fast compared to the other 2.
Yes,
and I'm gonna be talking about the worst grappling hook in gaming.
Yeah, we'll get.
So we have played them all. I didn't look at our achievements to see if I don't think we 1K'd the other ones. I think this one had an easier 1K that it didn't have I think other ones, I think they had difficulty achievements and stuff like that. So I guess we more or less just go ahead and get into the third one, which I wasn't necessarily excited to play this, but I was like, I played the other 2 and I think I had enjoyment of them, So I might, this was on Game Pass and leaving Game Pass and looking it up, saying it's really short. The first 2 weren't this short, so you can kind of tell this is like the third one. They feel like they kind of had to make a third one, but didn't give it a full treatment. Yeah, almost. There's just nowhere near as much in this game.
Based off how the end of the second one, because it's the post-apocalyptic sci-fi fantasy with magic and cool swords and robot arms and demons, but because the world ends in 2. The bad guys win, and this crazy world-ending dragons. Spoiler alert for a game that's over a decade old, and so you kind of pick up after the end of the world and after your best friend Hoji, who's a demon who you're trying to help, and he's trying to help you, and he sacrificed himself to try to prevent the dragon from coming into the world, and it didn't work. And then that's kind of how the game ends, on a dour note, which is kind of cool. But then you pick this game up and your character's broken mentally. He's having conversations with this wooden mask.
The mask.
Yeah, the mask of his friend, the demon Hoji.
In his underwear.
Reliving his glory days.
So we'll say, talk about main characters. The main character guy, I've already forgot his name in Atomic Heart. Not endearing, not funny, annoying. Lo Wang in all 3 Shadow Warriors. He's the one thing that's consistent across all 3. Lo Wang is Lo Wang. He's irritates everybody in the game,
including you sometimes.
Yeah, he can be irritating because he is he's like kind of like a '90s innuendo filled superhero kind of.
And the
like,
fact his name is Lo Wang, and he makes sure you got wanged.
Yeah, he got lots of Wang jokes, but somehow a good voice actor. I think maybe it's the same voice actor for all three.
I looked into it.
It's really not.
They had 1 and 2 was the same voice actor, and he was like a legitimate voice actor with like over 200 different voices and animes and other video games to his credit. This is a brand new guy.
Really?
And he has done mostly live action, but one of the cooler things he'd done in live action, his name is Mike Moe. And in
not sound like an Asian guy.
In Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he portrayed Bruce Lee.
Okay, so he's an Asian guy at least.
Yeah.
That's good. Because they hate to have these days, people hate to have a non-Asian playing an Asian character.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool, though. I mean, granted, it's been a long time since I played the other games. He sounded like Lo Wang to me.
Yeah, he was fine. He was funny. And, but...
He's the kind of guy that makes a joke and you just shake your head and you just keep going.
He's like, that wasn't even funny. He's like, he just has to
joke. Like, nobody think what's good about him is nobody in the game world thinks he's funny. Nobody thinks Lo Wang's funny. Lo Wang says jokes to make himself laugh,
and that's all he cares about.
So he's annoying / he's actually enduring sometimes. He's not he's sort of like kind of an anti-hero in his own way,
Well, you start out because how it all works is he legitimately is like a modern day ninja and an assassin. That's how he starts his thing, and he works as a hitman, and then you realize that the hitman's doing like really bad stuff, and he's like has a change of heart, but he befriends a demon named Hoji, and Hoji is a demon version of him, and they laugh with each other like he found his counterpart in an evil demon. And so it can be fun, but it's also like eye rolling sometimes. But every now and again they'll I have it's near the end of the game, and you're fighting like I think you're literally fighting. You're doing because how this game works is it does like these arenas that go on for far too long.
Yeah, this game is literally parkour challenge, arena fight, parkour challenge, arena fight, parkour challenge, arena fight. There's literally nothing else to this game, which is sad considering the other ones were like level based and had different things going on. This game is literally parkour fight.
And they are level based, but you're going through it because the world's broken, so you're having to parkour across wall, run, ninja, double jump, and use the worst grapple hook I've ever had in a video game.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, but as you're going through all of this, of course, the world's broken, and that's why you have to do all this stuff. It's just
there's a joke yet for Lil Wayne.
Okay, so it's during the final arena before you fight the final boss, and spoiler alert for those who haven't. Part of the finale is you end up
inside the dragon,
inside the world-ending dragon.
Yeah,
because you're trying
That's
to.
Cool.
It's really cool. Like a lot of the like when you're watching the cutscenes and stuff, it's like genuinely kind of cool and well choreographed, honestly. But you end up inside the dragon and you're trying to like steal the dragon's heart. The mythology of the world they've based in. Because they do a really good job of when they've set the stuff, like you stay in that world. Like they keep their rules to their world. But magic can make things a little wonky. But like I'm fighting this thing, and like once as soon as the fight starts, he's like, I bet you never expected to find a wang this deep inside your body, did you? And you're just like, God dang it.
far from the first wang joke in the game.
But it just caught me off guard. He's like, I bet you never expected to find a wang this deep inside your body. And I was just like, God dang it. And it made me laugh at it because I do have the maturity level of a 13-year-old, and sometimes I do laugh at, I know, and I don't. I always laugh at potty humor. Yeah. It's my Achilles heel. If I will laugh at potty humor all day long.
Yeah,
and it just caught me off guard.
I didn't have any particular jokes that stood out.
That was the one because all the other ones were kind of like eye rolly or like a cliche.
Well, that one's eye rolly too, but like it's like it's. Yeah, I mean,
it just caught me off guard at the time. I think because I just come off like a really annoying part too, and I was like so mad that it came in, and I was like, that was pretty good. That was a pretty good wang joke. I like it. But you have a lot of guns.
Yeah,
and the gunplay.
This lets you switch to all. You actually get to hold all your gun. This is not a looter shooter anymore. It's not a looter shooter anymore. It's just like you collect all your guns kind of semi-randomly. That kind of
they're kind of like at the start of some levels.
It just like gives you a new gun.
You start with your sword and a pistol, and then very quickly you get a shotgun. Shortly after that, you get dual pistols.
Some machine guns.
Some machine guns, my bad. Dual Uzis, my bad. And then you got the railgun next, which is really cool.
Do you get the railgun before the grenade launcher? I don't remember the order.
I have it wrote down as railgun, then grenade launcher, but that may be reversed.
Yeah.
But both are really good guns. And then one of the final things you get is this buzzsaw launcher.
Yeah. That's all video games, every shooter game seems to have like that one weapon that's like unique to that game, I guess. Is that buzzsaw launcher is probably unique to this game.
And talking about weak shotguns, I rarely use the shotgun in this game. Yes, it was powerful, and some of the upgrades you get was like full auto, and you just like hold the trigger down, or elemental based.
The gameplay for this is too frantic to I feel like to particularly enjoy a gun.
Yes,
does that make sense? Like it's just like there's just so much happening, and you'll burn through ammo, and then you have to switch guns because you just don't have ammo for that gun for like a couple of seconds, I guess. And you are rotating guns in this constant because you're constantly running out of ammo. Then like the game tends to like let you run out of ammo, and then you cycle through all your guns, and then after the arena settles down, there's ammo all over the place.
We play on easy.
After every
we play
arena,
on Super Baby Easy mode.
Yeah, Super Baby Easy mode, but you still died in.
I mean, some of them.
I died from falling. Well, I guess when you fall, you just get spawned back. But most of my failure in this game was falling on the platform. We'll talk about platforming here in a minute, but it's because mostly a shooter.
But some of those later,
some of the arenas,
arenas,
because the arena was the game's half a shooter and half of half jumping sequences. There's a lot of shooting, and the arenas are like, I guess we're gonna spawn 3 or 4 waves every time, every arena.
Every single one of the arenas went on just a little bit too long.
Yeah, 2 waves I think would have been fine, but some of them 3 or 4 wave, 5 waves, and it's just like relentless. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just like constantly spawning demons. Every single demon, you introduce a new demon. We'll talk about the cool ripping weapons out of demons, which is kind of neat because you have those executions, which I think those existed in the other games.
These existed all the way to the first one. Special executions. Like would you shoot them or stab them?
But this is the first. I think it might have been the first one where you rip weapons out of enemies. I feel like
definitely. I don't remember that in any.
Because there's little soldier enemies that are really easy to just kill with like a sword or a pistol, and then there's like these. I guess we'll call them major like more elite demons.
I think everything was they were called the yokai.
The yokai, okay, which is just a demon.
But then you had just like the special ones.
So you had to build up a little meter for execution, which you just one little bar I think I built like 3 bars.
Up to 3 bars, like near the end, you got the 3 bar.
So 1 bar kills a regular enemy. And I didn't realize it was doing that at first until I caught on that you kind of needed it sometimes. If you execute a regular enemy, you get a boost to your health bar.
You get fully healed and all your ammo back if you do execute. Well, I think when you fully max out the upgrade.
No, if you kill a regular foot soldier, you get that health that overcharge. Health.
True, yeah.
I use that a lot of things. That's necessary. I feel like sometimes to kill a smaller thing first to get your health up, and then run around and murder everything else.
Pick up anything that's maybe fallen. Yeah.
Yeah. We got to talk about all the different. I want to talk about all the different little weapons you end up with. Those special weapons are kind of cool. God, there's lots of them, but like the laser, one of the first ones you get.
Disco grenade.
The disco grenade, is that one of the first ones you get?
I think it's like the second one you get. Because the first one you get
is that stupid drill. So the first one you get is the stupid drill, which is
the worst enemy.
The worst enemy in the game. The worst enemy in the game, and the worst weapon. Yeah, so it's a double whammy of a terrible enemy and a terrible, like the most boring.
No, the drill's not the first thing you get.
What's the first thing you get?
First thing you get is the
freeze grenades. Those are all the time.
But that's the first thing you get. You get the freeze grenades, and then you get the seeker eyes.
You get those first?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I remember using those kind of much earlier in the game.
Those might be kind of 2 and 2 together. Maybe like you might fight depends on if you fight the drill guy and the flying guys at the same time. Maybe.
But those are 2 especially. They were introduced separately.
Yeah, a lot of you do. The first thing you probably execute, you realize is the guys that are throwing ice at you. They're kind of like a lesser demon too, but because you kill them with 1 little bar, but they always pop a little frozen heart out of them. You can throw the thing and freeze everything around them. Pretty useful.
That's really useful. I use that.
You can shatter enemies. Enemies don't shatter immediately, depending on how strong the enemy is. You gotta hit them. But like you said, the first thing would either be the drill enemy or these little flying things are kind of like making noise and like shooting stuff at you. When you execute the yokai, I guess we'll call them, you get a cool little execution sequence. These are more. The other ones are just like I ripped the guy in half, he's dead. These are like all have little. It's a repeating sequence. There's not multiple executions, not like Doom 2016, but You have a cool little sequence of how somehow going inside of it and like ripping something out or just doing something cool to all these demons. I can't remember all because it's really gory and just all a mess. But the first one you said was either the drill or the little flying guy, and all these come with a timed, like super weapon. I guess you would call it.
We'll call it super
They had a
weapon.
name.
I forget the exact name, but
They're basically a super weapon for a time super weapon. So the flying thing gives you, which is pretty much the eyeball thing, is the thing from Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah, the whistling arrow.
The whistling arrow.
Yondu's arrow.
It's basically Yondu's arrow for like, I don't know, how 30 or 60 seconds it flies around murdering things, which I guess this is one of the only ones that you don't actively shoot
It just starts going automatically
and kill stuff around you. So it's kind of
like
like
it starts attacking the closest enemy to you.
as the game is. We talk about how frantic the combat arenas are. Something like that, you're not going to notice anything happening. You're just going to keep on fighting, and I guess it's flying around killing things. The next one would be the drill.
They're called gore tools.
Gore tools.
Gore tools. I was checking it out.
So the drill guys are. We'll go ahead and get this out of the way. They're the most annoying enemy in the game, and they're so early in the game, and then they're consistent throughout. And they're literally the worst. Like this is like the first or second demon you meet, yokai, and there's like 6 or 7 other ones of like the major yokai. This one's absolutely the worst. Mm-hmm. And you fight. They said like they always appear in pairs and multiple waves. So imagine the worst enemy in a pair, 3, 4, 5 waves of enemies, and you get a pair each wave.
Yeah.
And they're irritating as hell. Like they're just so irritating because they run underground.
Yeah.
Can't shoot them while they're underground. While they're underground, they're creating paths of fire, which
like
hurts you constantly unless you get out of the way. But there's so much going on. Can't emphasize enough about how much there's just so much going on screen. Mm-hmm. You're constantly getting hurt. You don't know why. You're trying to move and get off of the ground and move out of the way. And then you can only hit them when they come out of the ground. So they do the lava thing, jump out, and that's the only time you can hit them is when they jump out of the air. So you got to try to figure out where they're jumping from. And when they jump out, they're still hitting you with another attack. And you got 2 of them. There's always 2 of them.
Yeah, they're like...
And then there's everything else trying to fight you. And these things are just like, they're the only thing you can't shoot. The only thing you have to like hunt down and shoot when it jumps at us. Everything else is vulnerable 100%. Every other demon, vulnerable 100% of the time. They're the only one that has like any kind of protection, which is nuts. And it's super irritating. And then you kill it and you do the gore thing and you get this drill and you can just kind of run around and drill people until they die. It was not satisfying.
Awful. I hated fighting them and their tool was never worth it.
Yeah.
The only, I can't emphasize how much I hated fighting the mole twins. Yeah. And just real quick, I was looking here. The freeze grenade is the first one. Mm-hmm. It's the first thing that you get, and then they are the second.
The drill is second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, actually, no. It is 1, 2. It's like the fourth, because you get the disco grenade first and the freezer grenade.
Well, if you're going by order of your achievements, you might have got them out of order.
Well, no, because I would have done it the first fight that you fought him in.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
not that important.
But the moles suck. The end.
And they're the whole game. They're literally irritating the whole game. No matter what weapon you got, you end up with like I'll end up grenade launching at them, trying to kill them, and then eventually my go-to weapon in general was mostly the railgun.
Yes, because of one of the upgrades.
Yeah, so that was
because it takes a few seconds to charge up, but for the railgun, is while you're charging it up, it slows down time, and you were like, and if you do it fast enough, you can get 2 shots off, and they still don't die.
Yeah, sometimes I remember I think you get like a headshot or something like that. If you luckily get a crazy slow motion headshot.
But those are
So I like the I didn't get it all the time because I didn't necessarily need it, but the little floating heads that shoot lasers at you, they give you like reach inside them and rip out their like heart, and their heart is like this one's not time. I think it's timed, like the timer goes down where you can't, like you need to throw it.
Yeah.
But it's like it's called the disco grenade. It pops up in the air and boom, and like it's kind of short range. But if you catch it and enough enemies,
well, the arenas are usually pretty small, so it.
Yeah, I mean, I used it enough times. It was like, oh yeah, this disco grenade.
This is my favorite.
Like the laser, the laser grenade.
And they're cool. Laser beams that are just cutting things in half, and it's just a gory, bloody mess.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Yeah, I usually killed those things so fast I didn't really worry about because I was trying to. Later parts, I was probably trying to save up my 2 bars to get one of the stronger ones.
Yeah.
Because those things are pretty easy to kill. Because we forget to mention, you have your sword on the bumper, I guess, your gun on the trigger, and then you have, clicking in the right stick, he has like a telekinetic
Chi Wave.
Chi Wave, yeah, so not Chi Wave, which that's the only enemy in the game where
required it.
It required it. What I think you could.
It didn't even require it because if he opened his mouth, you could shoot inside his
if
head.
you Chi Wave those guys, they spin around. They're weakness on the back. In the scheme of things, I think also they shoot a grenade launch straight to their freaking face. They're going to die. You could also Chi Wave lesser demons into like spike walls and cool stuff.
And off
like,
cliffs and stuff.
off cliffs and everything like that, which you had to do for achievements.
The thing, too, you're also kind of forgetting about all these arenas is infinite spawning enemies that aren't the major yokai.
So the foot soldiers, which I think is almost good because they will drop ammo and you can use them to heal and stuff like that. But they literally, as soon as you kill all the yokai
just vanishes.
They just all stop. And the game, like, I probably only on easy, but the game seems like it fully heals you and restock your ammo at the end of every arena.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking at the weapons and I'm like, yeah, I think the moles were the fourth one because you had.
It's not that important.
I know, but you had the brain freeze grenades. Then you have the hammer, those Onis.
Oh yeah, those guys were way too resilient.
Yeah.
Like, it took so much, and they don't. Nothing really slows them down. The hammer is also boring.
Yeah.
For you just like cut their arm off and take their hammer. That one's kind of lame. I forgot about. That one's so lame. I forgot about it.
And then you get the disco grenade, and then the moles, and then the seeking eye.
Dang.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of them.
But then some of the latter ones are really cool. The slinky demons that have like that.
Those are
musical box.
Yeah, those are creepy, but they're also the only enemy that runs from you. Yeah. Literally the only enemy that runs away from you. And you think like everything else in the game running at you constantly was irritating. How about something that runs away from you? Like, it runs from you constantly, and they're kind of hard to kill sometimes. But they're I didn't use their weapon right the first one or two times. I was like, I don't know what this is exactly doing. But if you just hold the trigger down, it's obvious. Like, you're looking at it because it's so frantic. But it's just like shooting off these homing missile firework things.
It's like a little
Jack in the box,
old school musical box that you're cranking
it.
The handles.
It's just like blowing. I think they're kind of they're not super long range. So like, kind of notice if you're right in front of you, you're like blowing everything up, and it's like fireworks in front of you. So that one's kind of cool. I used that one quite a bit once I figured out what it was doing.
Yeah, and then after that, you get that sword that's also kind of it insta kills anything it hits, but it does like a dash slash. But I'm like, but you're going to kill one enemy at a time. I would rather use
the explosives are better. Yeah, those samurais are kind of hard to fight. They're probably one of the harder things to kill unless you because they seem to randomly block things and then randomly stop blocking things. But maybe if you catch them off guard, railgun or grenade launcher would kind of slow them down.
They can deflect the
grenades. Yeah. They don't, but every now and then I'd hit them with regular stuff too. So I don't know.
Because they had to be
just a matter of catching them off guard.
They had to, because they have like a spinning blade tornado, but then they had a thing where like they were like standing there in like a stance, and they would swing their swords around and block ammo. And they were in the stance, they would block ammo.
Yeah, and their weapon is you said a sword that when you get the curse, it's time, so you kill as much as you can, but you can. It's like a dash slash that kills everything. You can use pretty much. You just turn around and it's dashing, and like I was kind of cool to dash through the air and like kill multiple things through the air was kind of cool, but not a very explosive or kind of really fun thing. I mean that part was kind of fun, but then it runs out and you're whatever. But like it was not flashy, but effective. Like it was, and they're pretty dangerous as enemies, so you kind of want to like try to get them. They always everything. I think everything kind of spawns in pairs, so they always seem like they spawned in pairs. But they're not. But they're flat out fighting you straight on, so they're not like anything like that.
And then like so there's two more. There's the other one that was just a copy of the Seeking Eye. Remember, it was like the this called it the Hungry Heart. Those chefs, and it would hit things and like tear their hearts out and blow them up or whatever.
The chef was the black hole weapon.
Oh yeah, but it looked exactly like the Seeking Eye because you pull out it. And
I don't know. You throw a bunch of stuff into it. It's a cooking pot
thing.
Okay,
so it did. Yeah, that one was kind of cool. That was the black hole grenades.
I wasn't sure if was the black hole.
They didn't kill him. It just sucked him on a location, but you had to kill him. So it was just like a stasis grenade, really.
I don't know if it did damage or not, but I don't know. But it looked cool.
Yeah.
Got like a black hole weapon in video games.
I do like that. And then
really cool.
The final thing was the twin miniguns.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool too.
Yeah. And all the kill sequences are really cool. Those guys were tough to kill as well because they're just huge.
And they're the ones that require you to have three.
They're the only one enemy that requires you to have three execution bars.
Execution bar.
Yeah, but they got like a double Gatling gun. It murder everything on screen kind of stuff.
Do you have how long it took you to beat the game? Do you have your?
Oh, I don't have it pulled up. talk about something else while I pull it up.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about mine. I got my 1K in it in 12 hours and some change, I think. It was like 12 hours and 15 minutes or something. The game doesn't have any DLC. The game is, in its entirety, it is complete. And it's also the shortest of the three of the trilogy.
I would think so, yeah.
Because I spent like 30 or more hours in some of the other ones and got nowhere close to the 1K just because they were time trials and difficulty based and stuff like that, or getting into some stuff.
Yeah, I did it in 8 hours and 43 minutes. What'd you do for 12 hours?
I don't know. Played the game? I don't know.
I did it in 8 hours and 43 minutes, yeah.
Died a bunch because I wasn't as good as in combat.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is, except for one time in the game, did it checkpoint in between waves. Because like one of in the final arena in the level before last.
Yeah, so put it into context for people. Shadow Warrior 2, I got 51% of the achievements, nearly right at 28 hours. So I played it three or four times longer and got half the achievements.
Yeah, my Shadow Warrior 2 was 30 as well. Yeah. And I got 29 of 39.
It's crazy. Shadow Warrior 1 real quick while we're looking. 81% did beat it with 25 hours, but only 81% of the achievements.
Shadow Warrior 1 with 28 hours, 37 of 53. And again, I don't think any of these had DLCs, did they? I think they were just, the game was the game. And they wouldn't
I think I got the 1K in the first one, technically, but it had DLC, because I got the achievement in the first game for unlocking all achievements.
Oh.
And I think there's a separate modes. Because my not one are talking about challenge modes. I guess I might have got the 1K in the original game. That says campaign mode. I don't know.
It may have been a glitch.
Might have been a glitch. Yeah,
you have to beat the game on like heroic and stuff like that. And you weren't doing that.
Forget that mess. So this is dramatically shorter than the other games and a lot less actual content to it.
It's got their highest completion rate. It's also got their lowest because people, I guess, were annoyed with some of them.
Yeah.
Do you have okay, we've kind of bounced around it. Do we want to talk about off of the I don't want. I hate to talk about all the good stuff and then end on a dour note, but talk about the god awful.
There's a bunch of couple of bad things.
Yeah.
So when you're not shooting stuff, you're
parkouring,
hardcore parkour, and platforming, and then I absolutely hate. People talk about the platforming is like the birth of video game. Well, sort of the like Mario and crap like that. Platforming, I hate platforming I've never played a game where I enjoyed the platforming. No. It doesn't. The only time to be good, having fun platforming doesn't exist.
The only time I've enjoyed platforming is when it was done automatically for me.
Yeah.
Because there are games that let you do that. Like you're like, I'll auto grab running and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So this one is running, jumping, dashing, wall running that works.
As long as you're holding forward. Like the whole point of the game is moving forward. Mm-hmm. But if you wall run and you like aren't holding the stick forward, he'll just hit the wall and then fall. You have to be.
Yeah. I said most of my failing in this game was not making a jump or falling off of something or just lots and lots and lots of falling to my death. Thankfully, the falls are never. I don't think none of the falls are game over. You just appear.
Yeah, with slightly hurt.
Light hurt you. Freaking nose. Did not like any of it. A lot of the set piece stuff and like the action sequences are like running along crazy stuff. Like I said, the part of the end game and something like that is you're running along the dragon, then you're running along inside the dragon. Stuff's exploding around you. A lot of crap is happening. Can't not talk about the grappling hook. Grappling hooks are like a mainstay in video games these days. I feel like they're like if you're doing any kind of platform, there's going to be a grappling hook. This is the worst grappling hook I've ever had in a video game. It's because it's too pinpoint.
Yeah.
There's no margin. There's no margin of error for it. Most games have like an automatic, at least a leeway of some automatic grabbing for you. This thing has to be the thing. You have to be looking right at it. It has to be on your screen to be looking directly at it, or your grapple hook is just not going to do anything.
Well, yeah. So if you're not looking at it, the grapple hook button won't appear.
Yeah, it doesn't even appear. So there's not. I know that seems like just look at everything. Yeah, there's a lot of.
Sometimes it gets hectic.
A lot of stuff, and then the game starts putting stuff over the grapple hooks. Like you have to like shoot these magic vines off of stuff while you're wall running. It starts adding in more and more complicated nonsense. It's just not good. It's not fun. It's like it's mostly irritating. I'll never find platforming fun. There's no. I challenge anybody to find me a game where the platforming is fun. To me, platforming fun doesn't exist, and there's just no way. People love Mario and jumping. Like, oh, the jump feels so good, and the landing, and the blah blah blah, kicking off this and running along this. Oh, it feels so good. No, not for me. Like every game, not for everybody, and this part of the game doesn't do it for me. And I've quit lots of games based on their platforming. I pretty much did quit this game of a mix of platforming / my game wasn't working right. Like I literally quit, uninstalled the game, waited till Blake got to the part, and then I kind of came back to it.
Because it was the hardest parkour thing in the entire game, and of course no checkpoint.
Yeah.
No checkpoint.
Unbelievably, there's even a part in the thing that should clearly check. There's multiple sections during this section that should checkpoint and do not. And this is one of the only parts of the game that has instant death failure.
Yeah.
And we're just like, what are you thinking? But anyway, this is like, it's something they probably thought was cool.
Yeah.
They probably thought it was cool. And it's like you're in an ice section, there's this platform falling, and you have to grapple hook a lot.
Onto the platform.
Grapple hook onto the platform. Of course, you can't just look at the platform and hit the button. You got to put your cursor into the center of you're flying through the air, a moving platform. You got to target it within like a couple of seconds of having enough time. Because if you don't land on the platform, you die.
Yeah.
That's it. So it's moving constantly. Grab a hook to it. Then you have to shoot these other things out of your way because your thing runs right into everything because it's just sliding. So I use the grenade launcher to like shoot these things out of the way.
You have to use the grenade launcher to break them as part
I
of
saw in a video when I watched the guy do that. When I watched the video of where my thing ended up, he was using something else. I forget what he was using, but he was blowing it up with other stuff.
Oh, maybe the railgun.
Or something. But anyway, I use a grenade launcher to blow up these towers because the towers don't kill you instantly, but they do knock you off your platform, which kills you instantly. Mm-hmm. So all this involves that. Thankfully they're not crazy. There's like one little part that has enemies that like seem to do nothing.
Yeah,
I don't know about that, but immediately you're on the platform and it slides into these sections like red crystals that you can't touch because you die.
Yeah.
So you have to grapple hook onto the multiple walls and run along the walls, and jump to another wall, and run along this wall, and then shoot the crap off the wall, and then jump, then grapple hook to this, and then fly through the air, grapple hook back to your platform, and do it again. You think after every one of these little sections of wall running, you would land on the platform at a checkpoint. Nope, back to the beginning when you die.
Yeah.
This part is so long.
It's like so 8 long. Minutes of maybe more depending on. I think it's about like an 8 minute second. It doesn't sound like 8 minutes ain't that bad. But when you have to repeat the same 6-7 minutes constantly over and over and over again, because that took me a while.
I don't know if it's that long, but it just feels like it's really long, and it's so hard. And like if you could reliably trust in the grapple hook, this wouldn't be nowhere near as bad. But what happened to me was I kept getting to literally the last part of it, and you run a wall, jump to another wall, and then I would look down, I'd jump, and you get like a few seconds of kind of not really like slow motion thing, and I'm like looking around like where the hell is my platform? I was saying other words, but where the hell is my platform at? Like what's going on? And I was like, forget. I did it like 20 times. I was like, you know what? Forget this game. I'm not even really enjoying this about myself. This is where I would quit. And I was like, I quit, close the game, uninstall. I was furious.
Yeah.
Furious. Like I've been this mad at a game in a while. And this is like the next to the last level. It's pretty late. This is a late game. Watch a video of a guy doing it. I'm doing everything right apparently, and he gets to the last part and he jumps on the last jump where I jump, spin around, nothing there. He jumps, looks down, his platform's right below him. And I was like, my platform wasn't there. Yeah. Through multiple times of me getting to the end, my platform was not there. It's just not there. And I was like, what is this, like a glitch? You're going to screw me in the end, and you get through it. And yours, after a couple of runs,
I finally get to the end.
You get to the end. Yours is just there. The platform's there. You land on the platform, and the cutscene starts.
Yeah, and it's the end of the level.
Yeah, you're done. And I was like, wow, okay. So I've already uninstalled it, but I'll go back to it. I don't want to install it again because not that we have unlimited data anyway. But I just click on it to cloud stream it, which is pretty effective. I will note that the game normally looks pretty okay. When you cloud stream this game, there is a noticeable, which is fine, there's a noticeable downtick on how clear the game looks. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, that's cool that streaming, because I've played a couple of games on stream, and we've talked about it before, like I did Telling Lies, that's just watching videos. Mm-hmm. I've streamed a couple of different things.
What did Origins, didn't you? Did you play all of most of Assassin's Creed Origins?
I did some cleanup on Origins.
Was it Odyssey or Origins?
Origins. I did some cleanup on Origins on my
phone at work.
On my phone at work, yeah, when I had time. But anyway, and also it played just fine. Like it started, I just clicked the cloud and it connects you to it. One of the coolest features that it gets talked about, but like
It needs more.
yeah. Well, they're talking about the anyway. It's getting cool, and they're talking about having to work on your anything you own cloud. Right now, it's just Game Pass. They're supposedly working on anything you own you can cloud stream, which is kind of cool. I've played games. I've cloud streamed. I bought a $500 Quest 3, and the first thing I did was download the Xbox app and stream a game to my Quest 3.
In bed.
While in bed. I played a bit of a game we ain't talked about on the podcast yet, but I played a bit of that and some other stuff. Yeah. I played some VR stuff now, but most of the first thing I did was like, oh, cool, it has an Xbox app now. Anyway, not the point. So I got back to it again, and I did it. It took me multiple tries, of course, to get to the end again, and then I get to the end streaming it, whatever, cloud streaming it, and then my platform is just there.
Yeah, just there.
It's just there this time.
Magically.
But again, you wouldn't believe how many tries it took me just to get to the end again. Like, because the section's so hard, and then I proceeded to just like literally play the rest of the game cloud streaming. I didn't even bother. I think the rest of that night, I think I told you the next morning, I just played the rest of the game. Got the rest of the little collectibles and crap like that. And we've been talking about how the collectibles are kind of somewhat hidden off the main paths, and you got to collect weapon upgrades and character upgrades. It's just points to unlock different things on the weapons and crap like that, which involves getting a final achievement, which I got, and got the 1K. But I was able to get through it eventually, but I forewarned you of an extremely difficult platforming section close to the end of the game. It's the hardest part of the whole game. Flat out the hardest part of the game, because I didn't have any other trouble the rest of the game, really. You, however, had an extremely hard time with the last boss.
Yeah.
That I beat, and we talk about this in video games all the time. Where we on the podcast, we mentioned one of us is usually ahead of the other in some sort of form of whatever game we're playing. Blake got to the last boss before I did. Had an excessive amount of trouble, we'll say.
I was more than I lost count. It was like 20 or 30. I was like, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. Why do I suck so bad at video games?
Yeah, and I just like got to it and just ran around and killed the thing, and then was like, well, I guess that's it.
Yeah,
I did it all after that. Like that night when I think it was my last session. I beat that one part, played the last level, fought the last boss, and I was like, all right, beat it.
Probably some of my extra time may have been repeating that stupid boss so many dang times.
Yeah, 3 extra hours.
Maybe not a full 3, but I mean,
yeah,
it could add up, because I did, like I said, near the in the later game, I did start dying because they get so chaotic.
Yeah,
there's so much.
The arenas are relentless.
And plus, you start fighting those stupid moles. But yeah, that may have something to do with it.
Do you remember like what gives us a hard time? The boss. It's a huge arena. It's just a big tentacle. It's the heart of the dragon, which is kind of neat, but it's just a big tentacle monster, and you just slams the tentacles down. I use the railgun for all of it because you get ammo and health respawning around the outside of the arena. Yeah. I would just maintain my the railgun allowed me that little split seconds of getting targeting. It had a big glowing orbs to shoot, pulsing masses,
pustules, kind of like Dart, a la Dead Soul, Dead Space, and a bunch of other stuff like that.
Yeah. I beat it one try.
I think my thing is I was playing it too loose, or maybe not conservative enough. Because you're like, oh yeah, I would run around, and as soon as I got like below 60 health, I would just run. I wouldn't even shoot. I would run until a health pack appeared, and I was like just trying to maximize damage output. And I was like, oh, my health is red. Where's the healing item? There's none available. Crap, because I'd been picking up in my so I just became much more conservative with my healing, and was like making sure that I was standing next to a healing thing as soon as my health hit like half or a little more. And that's the only thing I changed, was just maintaining survivability over damage. And I eventually did. I think I did after once you told me how you did yours. Like, oh yeah, I never dropped below half health, and I was like, how? And then I think I beat it my second try doing your method, because I was just trying to max out. Because I could get through because it was like in stages. I can get through the first 2 stages.
I didn't even realize it was like, it didn't really seem like it was in stages to me. I feel like you got to like the end part
multiple times
and didn't know it was like the end, because there's a part where it breaks the floor.
And my floor never broke until my last time I played it.
Okay, so that's
never once broke.
Other than that, it didn't really seem like it was in stages. It doesn't like telegraph stages, but the last part is like it breaks the thing.
Well, yeah, it does, because it does the big middle thing where it's hopping around. Then the second thing is when you have to hook shot over the spinning tendrils, and because it's like latched onto the roof. in like a cocoon, and then after you do that, then it does another version of the first one that's slightly more aggressive, where it's bouncing constantly.
I think I just
and I could never get past that.
I think I just jumped over the spit. I never had to grapple around the arena.
Oh, I was
either jumping over or just taking those hits and just healing. I think I don't know. I must just missed that part. But the final thing you do is fall to the floor, and you got to of course do one more bit of parkour. Is parkour your way back to the top, and when you get to the top, it cutscenes and you killing the dragon.
Yay! And it ends.
Yeah. I hope there's not another game.
I know. Like, I'll play another one of their games, obviously, because we like Trek to Yomi so much, and maybe we'll try some of their other ones.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'll play another. I say that, but maybe I will. I don't know. But
well, who knows with Shadow Warrior? There'll be a Shadow Warrior 4 because the 3 games of trilogy have been completely, almost not completely, but like have been 3 different games.
Yeah.
Like, it's very strange if you played them back to back. They're all completely different, strange games.
Well, it's funny because I'm looking at people's like reactions. People are like, oh yeah, it's as most straightforward as you can get with an FPS. The executions are pretty cool. Some of them call them unremarkable, and it's like wanton excess of lovable chaotic flow. And then other people right here is like, Shadow Warriors 3 is best experience with no dialogue and no subtitles. It isn't malicious, but it is tasteless. And he's like, it's embarrassing to think that they would think that I would like this. And then someone like here is like, Wang's one-liners were saying, were just overly cocky and not funny. And you're just like, yeah, that's about right.
His character.
Yeah, he's just an immature man-child.
Yeah.
But it's funny that, yeah. Do you have anything else you want to add about Shadow Warrior 3?
I think it's fine. It's on Game Pass. It's off Game Pass now. I mean, I think it's like 8-10 hours. It's a game. It's a good Game Pass game.
Yeah, if you can find it on sale somewhere, maybe for $10.
I'm sure you could almost buy a trilogy. Like,
oh yeah, you could buy. Yeah, you could definitely buy a Shadow Warrior trilogy.
Yeah.
And only the second one was co-op.
Yeah, I told you that's what's so weird. The first one was a legit story focused first person shooter,
narrative driven story.
Shooter. And second one's like completely there was some story sort of, but it was like very loose. You had like a little hub town, and then you would go on missions. It was co-op, but you were both playing as two. It was just two
both
Wangs.
Wang, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't really make much sense. It wasn't like the story wasn't there's 2 Wangs. You were just like both playing Wang. It was whatever, double the Wang, double the fun. There's some.
I guarantee he said that at one point or another.
Well, there was no narrative acknowledgement of 2 Wangs. It's fine. There's nothing. It's fine.
It's fine.
We beat it.
We beat all 3 of them, actually. So maybe we do like the games. We beat all 3 of them.
I'll say I do love Wang. I'll say was the time of the podcast. We probably shouldn't dig into a third game.
Because that one we can talk about that one for a bit because there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
I said because of the time of how long we've been talking. I don't want to dig into a whole other game.
Yes, I mean, yeah, we shouldn't.
So we'll postpone that game. It's not that big a deal. We won't mention the game right now. I do want to do because the 3 games we had picked. All right, we'll just do the 2. I want to do an honorable mention game here that you didn't play at all.
Okay, we talk about that. I think it was
because I dabbled for a couple hours, and it's obviously a big game. A prequel sequel was just announced. Right around the time I was playing, because we play games, I kind of have a thing about picking what game to play next. I try to mix up my genres. Well, we kind of stumbled into a section where I ended up playing a lot of shooters back to back. Unfortunately, it just kind of happened. Like things are like, so like coming up. We eventually have. I'll mention on the end here. We have like RoboCop coming up. So we had Gamefly with RoboCop. I wanted to start. I want to talk about Doom Eternal. I want to start Doom Eternal because I knew the sequel was announced, and Doom 2016 was awesome.
Yes.
And then Shadow Warrior was leaving Game Pass. It was like I'm shooting. That's all I'm doing, shooting. The juxtaposition of games is crazy. All shooters are different.
Atomic Heart.
And the Atomic Heart came after that, though.
And your other game you were playing too.
I was playing, New Vegas. Yeah, I played a bit of New Vegas. I played a lot of video games ago. But it's kind of just happened. The sequence of events just kind of happened this way. So I had three different sources of games that I was playing, and it was just like so much shooting, all vastly different. RoboCop's going to have its own thing. I'm going to talk about here on the end what we're doing with RoboCop. I feel like I was kind of playing. There's two, so the juxtapose. Because I feel like maybe Shadow Warrior back in the day, Shadow Warrior was kind of along the lines of, because it was around the same time of Doom and Duke Nukem and Wolfenstein, the original Shadow Warriors are kind of along that way. So like you can kind of feel a bit of the Doom influence in Shadow Warrior in general anyway. And this has executions like Doom and stuff like that. But I was kind of had a back to back of Shadow Warrior and Doom Eternal. RoboCop's not comparable. Well, RoboCop is a very slow, steady kind of shooter. There's no speed to RoboCop at all. Shadow Warrior 3 is fast. Doom Eternal so fast. So what I'll say real quick, as I already mentioned, Blake's not going to play. I didn't beat Doom Eternal. I'm never going to touch Doom Eternal again. I mentioned it on our Discord in passing. We were talking to our cousin Daniel about it, and he said Doom Eternal was the last time he had any rage toward a video game. And I was like, that sucks, because he's probably better at Doom than I am. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to play it anyway, because Doom 2016 was really good. Doom 2016, it is fast, it's furious, but you actually feel you play on easy, big boy baby mode, and you can get through Doom 2016, and you feel powerful, and you kind of feel like what Doom 2016 is going for is you're a badass.
Yeah,
basically, it's different from
Doom guy. You're
Doom guy. It's different from what Doom 3 was like, kind of a survival horror kind of feel. Doom 2016 was like, yeah, you're a badass demon killer now. Doom Eternal is a different game. I'll say, I told Blake, I've never been so uncomfortable playing a game in a long time as uncomfortable as I was playing Doom Eternal. I played Doom Eternal on what it calls big boy baby mode, and it's one of the hardest games I've played in a long. And I heard it before. That's why I had kind of avoided Doom Eternal for a while, because I was like, I was saying, it's so much harder. And then Daniel had talked about, like, it's way harder, and I was like, well, it's just the sequel to 2016. It's got to be it's the same game, right? It's just more Doom 2016. And boy, is it not. This is the first time I'm playing a game like Eternal where my hands don't sweat when I play video games. My hands are sweating playing Doom Eternal. Like I'm hot, I'm irritated, my hands are sweating playing Doom Eternal. Because it's combat, like I told Blake to compare it, like it's like when things are exploding and frantic, and things can be exploding and frantic and crazy in Shadow Warrior 3, I only compared it because I played it at the same time. I didn't ever felt in danger in Shadow Warrior 3. Because you can just do a couple guns, blow some stuff up, and you clear the screen and you're fine. Constantly in danger in Doom Eternal. You don't feel powerful. Maybe you do if you're really good at the game. The way the game tutorials you is like, here's all the skills you like. It slowly feeds you skills, because I'm sure people love Doom Eternal. I'm guarantee people love it. But the way it teaches you and feeds you the information, it kind of like seems like it's telling you to like, hey, struggle the entire time, even on easy. It's like, do this to get this. You have these executions to get this kind of stuff. You have this skill to get ammo. You have this skill to get health. You have this skill to do this. Every fight, do all of it, or you're going to die. You have to do everything constantly, all the time, while being barraged by the enemies. And I don't know, man. I put it down because I was so... I played it for a couple of sittings and beat a couple levels. I feel like I got a pretty good ways. Like there's like these priests, these demon priests, I guess. I killed 2 of the 3 demon priests. People may be like, hey, you should kill the last one. You know, the game ain't got that much left. I guarantee there's a lot more game than that. But uncomfortable, man. I will say, if you play Doom Eternal, if you write in or whatever, uncomfortable. Not through, I think, the intensity of it all. And I never, ever felt that way playing Doom 2016. Do you remember having any feelings of that? I know you ain't got a lot to say because you didn't play Eternal. It was just never like the intensity in Doom 2016 is fun.
I think so. It was chaotic, but I felt powerful.
Yeah, it's like boom, shotgun, boom, twist ahead, boom.
Yeah.
It plays that way.
Because also doing the executions also fully healed you.
I don't know if it fully healed you, but enemies pop and drop ammo and health and all that stuff. All that stuff still happens in this. But something about the intensity of this game is just cranked up to 11, and you're like... It seems like sometimes you can, like, if I take one step forward, I die. But if I had took one step to the right, I'll be okay. But you're making that decision constantly. Like, constantly. You're like, every move direction you take is like, did I make the wrong? Should I have gone to the right? Or, like, you know, but I will admit, and the game's probably going for that. A lot of the arenas, when I complete an arena, and when everything kind of like everything explodes, and boom, 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 and then you finally fight, and you stop it, and everything kind of go boom, and you're kind of like you win. You're kind of that sense of relief was that adrenaline rush was kind of good. I think it might have what kept you going,
baby.
I might have a heart attack playing this freaking game. I'm telling you, but I got through some stuff, and a lot of times but you can't like every single fight was like that, and you're like, I can't believe I got through this. Every single time I beat something, I can't believe I made it through that. I can't believe I survived that. I play on the game. I play on the lowest difficulty. The game has 4 or 5 higher difficulties. I was playing on the lowest difficulty, and every fight was a fight to the death. Like literally, like seat of my freaking pants, barely surviving. Literally, like no health bar, executing something like at the last, like whole screen's red, executing something, barely healing in time. You know, bonkers insanity. Game introduced like back to back introduces all the the familiar demons and stuff like that. Did have a really cool snap to like weak point gun. There's a gun that has like a scope on it, which is it's more or less like an assault rifle, but it had a scope on it, and it teaches you a snap to weak point, which goes along with the speed of the game. If you look in the direction of that particular, the different types of enemies had them, but the because revenants, you know, revenants are the ones with the 2 rocket launchers.
Yeah, the skeleton, like the meaty skeletons.
You would look if you look at a revenant, and it doesn't always work because it's too frantic. But it did work. I mean, I'm sure the thing lacking here was my skill. But you look at a revenant and you snap but it was like it teaches you to L1 or L2 shoot, R2 shoot. So you snap shoot because when you have to. You have the instant of the snap because the game's too fast. You can't it's not like I hold the scope. The gun doesn't have a scope you can like hide and shoot. It's not that kind of game.
No,
it's a design where you snap shoot, snap shoot, snap shoot. That's how it does. But it does snap to a weak point. But you have to. It's not like hold it. It'll snap to the weak point. You have a couple of seconds. No, you snap shoot, snap shoot, snap shoot. It has to be your method has to be instant because you're going to snap to the one of their because they have 2 rocket launchers. Snap to one, blow it up. Snap the other one, blow it up. That's all you can do. There's no kind of following. You cannot. The game tells you obviously you couldn't do it in Doom 1. 2016. You can't stand still.
No,
it's not that kind of shooter, which was fine. But the snapping aiming was kind of cool. That's the only gun that did that too, as far as I can tell. I had a whole freaking roster of different guns to mess with because it's Doom, of course. So I had all the different kind of guns and rocket launchers and all that mess. But uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is how I would describe Doom Eternal. And that's just the shooting part. This game, like Shadow Warrior 3, weirdly enough.
I came in one time when you doing some stupid, incredibly timed parkouring.
Yeah, unlike, I don't think 2016 might have had a minuscule part of this. There is a huge amount of platforming. Really, really hard platforming in Doom Eternal. Really hard.
I saw you do one of them, and I was like, no, I'm never turning that game on ever.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff. I would and again, it's like those things when you do it, and you're like, can't believe I made it through that. I don't know how I made it. I cannot believe I did that. But I guess is what maybe they're trying to make you feel good for completing. You're supposed to feel good when you complete it, but I'm too stressed about more stressed than I am about feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
How you get to the end of it. It's like jump, double jump, dash, double dash, hit a dash in the middle of open air, hit a dash recovery nodule, and dash again, and then clicking the stick. Well, if you dash into a wall, it automatically grabs. That thing I always forgot too. I feel a lot in this game too. Is if you dash into a wall, you can grab it, automatically grabs it. But if you fly at a wall and you're not dashing, you have to click on the stick for him to grab it. Yeah. Imagine trying to have your brain work through that mess.
I don't like it.
And then you immediately, after you barely learn any kind of platforming, it gets to these things where these things that fall, everything then ends up like, oh, by the way, these things when you land on them fall. These things when you grab on them, they fall. So you have a half a second to land on that, turn to the next thing, or grab this, turn to the next thing, and go to the next thing. Do this 45 times. If you fall, you're back at the beginning. So try it again. It's like, my God, this game it's relentless. If you weren't dying, getting your ass handed to an arena, you were doing an incredibly hard platforming sequence. And I just played until I just couldn't. I was just like, I'm just not. And I would even, when I turned it off, I load my game. I'm on the spaceship, the little hub spaceship, the Doom base they called it, between missions. I'm not even stuck. I just don't want to play it anymore. I was too stressed, like just max like stress to the. I play long gaming sequences sometimes. I would play one level, and the levels are kind of long. I play one level and I would turn it off. And I was like, I'll do something else. Any other game, like that, any kind of other shooter, I'll just keep on playing until it's time to like do something else, eat lunch, eat dinner, do something else. I would just keep on playing. This game was like one level, and I was like, nah, I'm done for today. You know, I think one day I did like a level before lunch and a level after lunch, and I was just about killed myself.
Yeah, I'm not.
But I just think that's worth an honorable. Like the new Doom game was announced, Dark Ages, whatever it's called. I don't know if I'll be.
Dark Ages.
I just don't know if I'll be doing that one unless somebody was like, oh, they toned it down. If they haven't toned it down for easy mode, I won't even be touching Dark Ages. There's just no reason. There's just no reason for me to play it.
Nah.
You know.
I mean, I play. This is my hobby. I play video games to have fun. I don't want to be. It was okay.
We both got through 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Relative ease, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you can die in 2016. Yeah, but like. Jesus, I don't know. It's nuts. You know, Daniel had mentioned and I know never see Daniel watch his videos on his YouTube channel. He gets kind of irritated at games, but like for him to like rage quit something. I think you remind us, Daniel. I think you said you actually rage quit Doom Eternal. I don't know if you actually ever beat. You'll message us on our Discord when you listen to this. Did you actually beat Doom Eternal, or did you like legit rage quit and not go back to it? Because you, unlike me, you probably wouldn't have even been playing on easy. I think you default to a normal mode, or probably you do a default difficulty and stuff like that. So let us know if you actually. I don't even think you beat it either. And I mentioned our cousin Brian about it too, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm not touching that mess." I think something like he said, "Not going to bother with that." Most stressed I've been playing a game.
In a while.
I can't remember the last time I was legit stressed. Maybe mentally stressed. There's a horror game coming up on the podcast eventually. I was mentally stressed playing that game, but that was a fun kind of mentally scared.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah, that was different. That's a fun stress.
It's being tense, not stress. There's a difference, I guess.
But like flat out stressed. I can tell you the last time my hands were sweating playing a video game. Maybe when we first discovered the Soul series. Maybe. And that's over a decade ago.
We've gotten a little better about that.
I don't sweat Dark Souls games now. Like I have no fear of. We haven't played it yet, but I don't sweat the franchise no more. I have no fear of Elden Ring. People are like, you see the post all the time. It's like I'm not. It's too hard. I can't handle it. I mean, find some friends or try a little harder. I don't know. But anyway, I have no fear of Elden Ring or whatever anything else from Soft. I don't care. Like we've played so much of them now.
Did you just tell someone who's struggling with Elden Ring to get
good? Get good. Find some friends. Like I said,
I couldn't do these solo. I know that.
Oh, there's a reason we haven't played Sekiro. You know.
Yeah.
Now when Sekiro hits, we talked about Sekiro a bunch of times. Sekiro now it's Activision, so it should be hitting Game Pass at some point. I think I'm going to try Sekiro. I bought the collector's edition of Sekiro and never opened it.
Yeah. You're like, I'm afraid.
For supporting From Software and loving all their other same, and not really loving Dark Souls 2 at the moment. Didn't love Dark Souls 2 when it come out. Replaying it now with Brian was just like, yeah, this is the worst one. It's clearly the worst Souls game. Anyway, not the point.
Yeah.
I guess you got no Doom because you flat out. I was like, yeah, do not touch Doom Eternal.
I didn't. I thought about trying it.
Well, if I told you it's more 2016.
Oh yeah, I'd have been all over that like a fat kid on a cupcake, dude.
Yeah.
Hobo on a ham sandwich.
Hobo on a sandwich. Yeah.
Unless they don't like pork, but that's neither here nor there.
So that's the honorable mention. I'll say honorable, I guess.
Dishonorable mention.
Because this episode was loosely a shooter episode, so we kind of like, I'll throw one more on there that we're definitely not going to talk about any more than what I just did. Mm-hmm. But that's that. I feel like I had another thought somewhere for something else, but I kind of losing it now.
You're all golden.
Lost my thought process. Oh, the RoboCop stuff. I mentioned it on the end here.
Starting today.
Yeah, so I'm going to post people. You get on our Patreon. Support the podcast. We really appreciate that. Help us do stuff for the podcast.
Put food on Brian's table.
Yeah, he has a family. Feed him. RoboCop. It's not our next episode. It's coming up. We'll do RoboCop eventually, as an episode itself. RoboCop Rogue City. What we decided to do with it a little bit is Blake has streamed and recorded his full playthrough of RoboCop, so he has a bunch. He played it differently a little bit. He played like in order. He would kind of divide it up between chapters, I guess, and kind of cut it up a bit. And so, but the idea is we'll call it a YouTube series, I guess. We're going to actually use our YouTube channel that we've never used before, and Blake's going to do some amateur, we'll say extremely amateur editing. Probably we talked about before. Not much editing's needed for like a playthrough, I wouldn't think, besides editing out cussing and racial slurs.
That only happens sometimes. I am from the South.
We're joking.
Yeah, horribly joking. Yeah, we're not that bad.
Blake has no video editing experience. Don't expect, be like, oh, this is the best playthrough I've ever seen of RoboCop Rogue City. Blake's not good at shooters, number one.
No.
But Blake does know RoboCop movies, which ironically, we played the game first and then proceeded a few weeks afterwards to rewatch all four movies.
All four.
Which we're going to talk about on that podcast. So I don't want to spoil too much about that. But anyway, he streamed it, recorded it. We're gonna be putting it out eventually, an edited version of it as a YouTube series. As of right now, I mentioned Patreon. Starting with today, I don't want to date things. A podcast always hits this when I'm recording. I post it to Patreon, then I email it to Brian. Today, Blake's going to start like every Sunday putting out. He's going to start uploading to Patreon the unedited parts of his playthrough of RoboCop Rogue City. So if you want a Patreon, you want to look at the videos now. We don't have a time frame yet of when it will be coming out. We just wanted to quite a soft announce Blake doing a little YouTube run through of RoboCop Rogue City. We picked the game randomly.
Just random, because it wasn't supposed to be long.
Blake's been wanting to do something.
Yeah.
He just doesn't know what. This is not going to be anywhere near as put together as anything like our cousin's channel, Zukovius on YouTube. He has his like seasons and stuff planned out. He has a series planned out. He plans things to do. This is not planned. This was kind of like this showed up on GameFly, and I was like, well, Blake had been talking about wanting to do it. Okay, yeah. Showed up on GameFly, and I was like, this game's probably not that long. You like RoboCop? Just stream it.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
if it's awful, we won't worry.
Stream it, and just like Twitch records it. You just rip it off there, and we'll post it to freaking YouTube. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
The worst that can happen is staring at Blake's face while playing RoboCop.
Yeah, I realized that it's like 10 minutes into it, I'm like, I don't like being on camera.
So I'm not sure if any other videos Blake will be on camera. So because he has some other games he wants to play, we'll announce that kind of stuff later. But anyway, next couple of weeks, you'll be getting the stuff on, just loose on Patreon. Right now, you can watch it. Like I said, they're unedited. Who knows what's going to be in them? I don't know. There is a sequence.
Oh God,
there is a sequence. Spoilers. I don't know how deep into the game there is a sequence where
Blake episode 7 or 8.
Yeah, where Blake fell asleep. Which Blake is notorious for falling asleep playing video games. It's like his thing. People wonder why Blake's game times are always longer than mine, because Blake falls asleep and his game timers keep going. So there's a section somewhere that you won't get probably, or you'll get a version of him. You're going to cut it out or do a joke with it.
I'm going to try and do something with it.
There's a section of RoboCop where Blake's just asleep.
I turned it on right after lunch. I just finished chugging a big boy nos. I'm talking one of the big boy nosses. We just had lunch, and I'm like, I'm amped to go. I play for about 20 minutes, and then the video was like almost an hour long. I played for like 20 minutes and then was asleep for about 40. And like I went back and rewatched it, and I just see my head just bobbing. The only thing that woke me up was when I bobbed and my headphones fell off my head backwards, and it scared me awake. And I look around like, oh no, I'm still playing. So I get to like a checkpoint or something, and then I shut everything down. Yeah, it was like, honestly, I was asleep for like 20 or 30 minutes.
It's hilarious.
And just fast forwarding through the video, I'm just head bobbing.
So you'll get that silliness in the. Don't watch him sleep for 30 minutes, but fast forward to that, whatever.
I mean, that's my only.
He's an unprofessional YouTube content creator, obviously.
Hopefully, I can do something fun with it.
We'll see. They say like amateur editing, no experience, could be a mess. At least worst case, you have it on Patreon, unedited, to laugh at, and then he'll put it out, and it'll be even worse on YouTube. Mm-hmm. That's it.
I think we're all good.
We'll wrap things up here. I want to thank, I always do want to thank, I forget the order I do it.
I think it's
Jared Jones and the guys of Emerge for letting us have the song "Letting Go" for the podcast, and it might be, I don't want to spoil anything, it might be used on a part of our YouTube stuff. So there's that. I'm losing my brain here. Emerge has new music coming out. The time this really, unless you listen to this on Patreon, when this comes out, the day this comes out, the Friday before, they have new music coming out. Go follow Emerge on all your social medias. Go listen to the song. promote the song, share the song, tell all your friends about the new song. I think they said the name. I'm a jerk. I don't know the name of the song. I think they said the name of the song too. But it comes out from where we're sitting. It comes out in a week. It comes out Friday. So new music from them. Like I said, they hit a lot of really cool. They did a lot of really cool tour dates with some bigger bands. Support Emerge. We always mention Jared because he's our contact. He's the singer and lead guitarist. I'm sure they're all great guys. We've only ever repeatedly dealt with Jared and met him and talked to him and had him on the podcast. You know, when you probably have him on the podcast, he'll probably be our next guest on the podcast.
Oh, that would be really good to promote the news. Yeah.
Yep.
Justice. There you go. That's perfect. He said he wants to come back on too.
Yeah, last time we saw him in Knoxville, he said he wanted to come back on. So we'll do that. Yeah, but anyway, Emerge, awesome guys, awesome band. Like I would say like even if I hadn't met them, they're a good band.
They're good.
You know, it's a cool band. There was something open for another random band at some other point, and it was like, oh, these guys are cool.
I think there was like 10 years, and they were opened up for like someone. Because I'm sorry, I don't mean to go off on these tangents, but
I met him at
you and Jessica met him first
at an Otherwise show.
At an Otherwise show, and then we went to a 10 years show, and they were opened up for him, and you're like, because he like hugged you, he was just so jovial and happy to see people, and we bumped into him there, and you're like, hey man, and he's like, and he remembered you, and he hugged you. He's like, oh, this is great, because instead of being backstage watching 10 years, he was in the crowd with us watching it from the front, and he was just really
big fan.
Jared's
huge fan of music.
Jared's a really
great
good
guy.
dude.
I want to also thank for anybody who has enjoyed the episode 120 art.
Yes.
Which is me, Blake, and Clyde's faces slapped onto the female leads of Final Fantasy VII. I sold this idea to Blake relatively easy, mentioned it, and I don't want to do it without Clyde's permission. I was like, hey, dude, you want to put our faces on the female cast? And he was like, that's hilarious. Let's do it. Yeah. Inadvertently, forget if we had did the art before the episode or not, but we accidentally had slapped his commissioned the art first, not knowing that Clyde's least favorite character in the game was Yuffie, so he ended up on Yuffie's body. So that was completely by accident, which we later didn't even realize until like we were streaming one night with Brian and Clyde dropped in. He's like, it's really funny. You put me on Yuffie, and I was like, oh, dude, didn't even think about that. Very funny, completely not intentional. So anyway, if you enjoyed that new art, go find Devious.Pixel online. I have links to his thing. I think Blake said he's taking a social media break, but you know, he'll probably be around at some point. Or if you really want some art, we have an email. I don't want to hand out his email address without permission. But if you really want some Devious.Pixel stuff, email us and we'll ask him if we can pass his email. Yeah, he said he's taking a social media break, so let's see if you really want something, let us know, and we will see if we can share his email with people.
That also might have something to do with just he is in school. He's in college.
He's always in school.
Yeah, no, he's. So he may be because school's just started too for a lot of people.
So we've had him on artist for like how many years we had this podcast. He's always talked about school. Been doing school forever. But anyway, that's him. Of course, he's great. Jared's great. Everybody's great. Also, Blake won't say it, but also great is her cousin Brian edits the podcast for us.
Yeah,
never complains about that.
It's to the point now. I don't remember why he's just a friend, but he hasn't made it back up to me yet. So
he doesn't know what to make up. We talked about that. Anyway. Brian's great for editing the podcast for us. Leaves us me time to play more games, and I have to edit. I still edit the other podcast we have, which Blake will mention here in a second. So thanks, Brian, for sticking with us. Thanks for playing games with us. It's always a good time, and he does good work on the editing of the podcast. I have a different kind of editing project for him for that. Like I said, that horror game we soft mentioned. I'm not saying the name. I want to edit, but I want to see him to play that game, and then there's a fun editing thing I want to do for that game eventually. I shouldn't be even talking about it, but anyway, some cool stuff coming up with that game, I hope. But anyway, thanks for that, and that's really all I got. I'll let Blake wrap up with the last two things he's got to say. We got to announce our other game. We said we have a game, our next game. I'm thinking of the game. I got it. It's sort of a horror-themed walking simulator called Through the Woods. Mm-hmm. We know you haven't heard of it. It's perfectly fine. I know this episode we just did was full of games you've heard of probably, but remember we play a lot of games you haven't heard of. Something we purchased a long time ago. Turns out to be kind of worth talking about, even though being a walking simulator, there is only a few sequences in this game where there's any kind of danger. But it's a crazy theme here, crazy ending to this game. We're going to spoil the entire game. But if you can find it before we do the episode, it's probably really cheap. Look up Through the Woods. I'm sure it's on all the different platforms. Probably not. Don't play it on Switch. Don't play the worst version. That's what. Yeah. So Through the Woods. And we'll look there. Another dark game. We're going to do a dark game. We couldn't realize we play a lot of dark games. Yeah. That's just a random coincidence. We promise after we've picked the game we're going to do after Through the Woods. We're going to do a brighter game after Through the Woods
on purpose.
On purpose, but surprisingly, a darker themed version. I feel like that game's dark. That game's darker too, which is purely coincidence. But anyway, look up Through the Woods. At least watch a bit of it if you want to. The game's not very long, but it's very interesting, and it's to us we say worthy of a full episode like these other games weren't. But look it up, and now that's all I got. I don't want to forget to announce the game. I always forget that part.
All right, so yeah, that's Through the Woods. So a little bit of self promotion on my part is I do have a short story on Amazon Kindle. Well, it's on Amazon, whatever, but if you're a Kindle Unlimited reader, it is a short story called They Come This Night. It's free if you have Kindle Unlimited. If not, it's just $1. Please go check that out. I'm very proud of it. The other thing is we have a brother podcast called Suspension of Disbelief. It's a movie podcast where me and our good buddy Steve, we take turns semi-surprising each other with movies. And it ranges from like classics to modern and everything in between across all genres. And we just try to not discuss it in any way, shape, or form until we record the podcast, so our opinions don't influence the other, and you guys hear our genuine first reactions to the other's opinion and stuff like that.
Yeah, and this I will say this podcast exists because Steve is one of the only other, him and his brother, obviously, of course, are the only other. The world's full of movie enthusiasts, but your personal circles are really small. Usually, I feel like they're the only people we've ever met that love movies as much as me or Blake do.
And more than in some
Blake
cases.
More than me, yeah, and more than. So this is a movie enthusiast podcast. They're gonna tear into like the making of the movie, the people involved, and stuff like that. Kind of how Blake has started doing a little bit more work on this podcast stems from that podcast of like the makers of what it takes to make a movie. Shining light on the makers and what it takes. A lot of actor stuff's on the front end, but let's like really want to talk about. They get into the movies. Of course, it's funny. Sometimes it'll be an hour before they even get into the movie. Yeah. It might sound horrible to you, but listen to the podcast. It's for movie enthusiasts, and we take recommendations on the podcast too. If you get in there, I usually shut up during this part. But I want to press the enthusiast part because like Steve and Jeff, Steve for the podcast, his brother Jeff, are the only two people me and Blake get to talk about who are generally super enthusiastic. My wife, I start half a conversation with her about who made a movie, and her eyes glaze over. Like we don't, Blake, any other friends he has, name another friend you can talk to about movies.
It depends on a movie, but not,
very specifically. You can talk about any movie in the world with Steve, and he will be.
And even if he hates it,
he will light up and talk about it just as much as you. So there's a billion movie podcasts out there, all kinds of stuff. But these two guys, like Blake and Steve, of course, it's like can't promote any better than that. Like it's just like go check it out. Episodes are very long. I have to edit those. I don't really cut hardly anything out of those either, because there's like a lot of stuff they talk about.
Well,
we're talking like 2.5, 3 hour episodes sometimes.
Both me and Steve have trouble breathing and saying sometimes. But
I cut all that mess out. But that's I probably won't step in on this one again, because it's just a really really cool podcast, and it's really.
Like I said, we've done stuff that's come out like.
Well, Steve just did. Y'all just did Casablanca. Which is like in this movie, this podcast, they're not chasing the hits. They like Casablanca. Obviously, Steve picked Casablanca because he'd never seen it. You hear about Casablanca and its influence across the movie verse, whatever, which is really strange. Because as soon as we watched Casablanca for the first time, I started seeing references to
stuff that you didn't realize
everywhere. It's so weird the impact that movie had on the universe.
Yeah.
Not just Casablanca. They've picked movies all across the board, known movies, unknown movies. It's just a cool podcast. And maybe it'll point you in the direction of a movie, like our game podcast. Maybe you'll play a game you never heard of. Maybe you'll watch a movie you've never heard of. And for that podcast, it goes either way. Steve recommended things that he's watched for the first time, and he hated it.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah.
And Blake's picked stuff that he's hated by accident because you don't know. So sometimes they pick things they haven't watched. Sometimes they will pick something you have watched. You just don't know what you're getting into, and it's been a lot of fun making the podcast and watching all these movies.
For the most part.
For the most part, so that's some stinkers.
It's like 90-10. Mm-hmm. Oh, but with all that being said, please come listen to us. Please come watch us, hang out. And with that being said, I do want to wish everybody a good evening and good night.